Good morning. And this week, I want to entreat you to trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I was born on a Monday, so Mondays I feel very excited. Welcome to the AM show. I'm Sweetie Abochi.
My name is Benjamin Akako. Let's usher you right into the show, and here's what you can expect. In a bit, we'll be serving you the news, followed by the news review. The stalwarts who joined us this morning, Dr. John Osai Kwapong, he's a CDD fellow. We have Victoria Bright, lawyer and entrepreneur, and Amanda Clinton, head of chambers at the Clinton Consultancy. All of them will join us for those all-important review conversations. And let me just make you know as well, even though we're serving you sports and all of that, we'd love to hear from you in the course of the review. Shoot us a message. We just might activate the phone lines as well. What has been your rain experience from yesterday? I slept through darkness and I had to go through the grind to get here this morning. Is your area with light? Do you have light, or are your lights out? Share those stories with us. And then we get into our big stories.
Yes, and for our big stories this morning, we'll start with a story of hope, great and transformative power of opportunity. We'll bring you that Joy News Hotline documentary by Nathaniel Atop, dubbed The Audacious Leap, the powerful narrative behind the nation's rising parathlete Gilbert Ampia, whose resilience has earned him a place in the record books of St. Augustine's College as the first junior parathlete to compete despite being born with a disability. And what does this really mean for disability inclusion and sports development in Ghana? We'll get incisive with that conversation. But that's not all for our big stories today.
We'll be telling you about Purple Month, a month set aside by the Ghana Mental Health Authority to enhance public awareness and promote mental well-being. Do you know how well you are, mentally speaking? This morning, we want to discuss what people can do for themselves, what you and I can do for ourselves to ensure mental health at the workplace. You'd want to join us with your thoughts via the phone and all our social media handles. And of course, we invite you to stay with us. This show is proudly sponsored by, Sweetie,
Waylead Properties, and we provide quality housing at affordable cost with flexible payment options. Folks, first on our order, the AM News. Let's get right into it. Across Ghana's 16 regions on the Joy News channel, around the world on myjoyonline.com, on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, on X Spaces, on Facebook, and on YouTube. This is the AM show, the AM News in particular on the AM show, and the details now. In our very first story, Ghana has recorded 2 more cases of Mpox. A statement from the Ghana Health Service reads, and that statement will be on your screens in a bit, telling us the latest update on the Mpox. And it says that the National Public Health and Reference Laboratory has confirmed 2 additional cases of Mpox, one in the Greater Accra region and one in the Western region, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 4 as of today, 18th May 2025. It goes on to say preliminary assessments indicate that these 2 newly confirmed cases have no epidemiological link to the earlier reported cases. The government of Ghana remains committed to safeguarding public health. And it finally says, drawing on our experience in managing similar outbreaks, we will continue to implement appropriate measures to protect the health and well-being of all residents. And that's the latest updates coming from the Ghana Health Service on the Mpox disease. Now, in other stories, they dug it out to prevent floods, but now it is back. Heaps of silt dumped along the Odo drain are being washed right back in as rains return and Accra braces for yet another disaster. Stephen Mensah reports on how a costly cleanup may be slipping literally down the drain.
Despite several cities spent to desilt the Odo drain, heaps of silt removed from the waterway now sit abandoned, stacked along its banks, soaking under the rains. Dredge Masters, the company contracted to clean the drains, promised to return and cut the silt away once it dried. That promise was made nearly 3 weeks ago.
Because we don't want the water and the mud to spill on the road, we leave it there for it to dry. water to come. Then after that, we'll cut it from there to a designated dumping site that we are putting in.
But nature had other plans. The rains came and the silt remained, soaked, soft, and slowly slipping back into the same drains it was pulled from. For those who live here, this is more than just poor drainage. It is survival on land no one else wanted.
We can't dump refuse here while we are still here. We were the one guiding them not to put refuse here, but we have been stuck. So when they are going and they put the refuse, we won't see it.
They should know we are in a raining season. And raining season, if you want to remove the sand from the gutter, waiting for it to dry up before you carry it away, you are just wasting your time and energy. Because when will the sun shine for the sun to dry before you carry it away?
Look at the work we are doing. Can this work cause Ebola?
As the flood season deepens, so do the risk. What is meant to be a solution is now becoming a hazard right at the doorstep of vulnerable communities. Stephen Mensah's report, read to you.
With climate change and food insecurity becoming growing concerns, the Member of Parliament for Kwesimintim is taking a practical step that speaks directly to the future. His new initiative, called Fruit Tree for Life, is targeting schools in the constituency, encouraging students not just to plant trees, but to nurture fruit-bearing ones that can serve their communities for the years to come. There's more in this report.
The Kwesimintim constituency, where schools are embracing a new way to protect the environment and feed the future. The Fruit Tree for Life project, spearheaded by the Office of the Member of Parliament, lawyer Fifi Bachman, is not just about planting trees, it's about cultivating a culture of care, responsibility, and sustainability.
From our childhood days, we were informed and verily believe seem to be true that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. So it is incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we protect our environment, which invariably means we are protecting our lives. We have had various tree planting years, but we still are short of trees. Why don't we do it differently by making our children, especially the young ones, come out with a project where instead of just planting trees, we shall make it trees that will be beneficial to them. And the trees that will be beneficial will be fruits.
This initiative is a direct response to the effect of climate change. It's not about grand speeches, it's about action, planting trees that bear fruit, empowering children to protect what's theirs, and bringing back the days when mangoes, guavas, and pears could be plucked from trees along the roadside.
Our world is drying up. Our water resources are drying up. Our sources of food are drying up. Our very future is drying up before our own eyes due to climate change. Do not let our future dry up before our very eyes. Why? Because the solution to climate change has been found. It's been established. And it resides not in rocket science or astrophysics, no, but it resides in simple, yes, very simple nature-based solutions.
These trees represent more than just greenery. They are a legacy of life, a promise that the future will not only be green, but fruitful. For Joy News in Athalia, Kwanza, Western Region.
Well, that's from the Western region, but let's move on. And fishermen in Elmina have bemoaned the president's first 120 days in office, saying none of his policies or activities so far have been in their interest. Speaking to Joy News, the fishermen complained about the persistent lack of premix fuel for their fishing activities, despite the installation of a premix fuel automation system in the town by past government. They indicated that complaints to the fisheries minister have yielded no results and are pleading with the government to come to their aid now.
In today's president, where do we go there? In our fund, oil in our Accra. Since in there, every match ha automation near Usi. Oil former administration one there premix no. A man for Calabulin or the whole falafel. And see, we see automation no. Mobile Calabulin the butcher. Mayoka says, Abakaya. Oil manoma. Obejin higher press conference there say, we see automation. Why one for premise yet, one from Baha? Here is a case, Abani be one for premise coupon Bahada. Premise bar, automation is what all say you. No, what they call different place. We book drums water my for Calabuli. Now, my yaw in there. Sissy, I'm no case. Premise all by Elmina. No, I divert to a different place. I 14th of March. Premise be a Elmina, but Friday. Premise in the Bano. We can see police station. I just Saturday, not premise or you call Bubiano. Madam no case, much phone, my friend, or your fishes minister, or your Mame Emiliata. Me catch an answer me there, or one can do your washing. The minister, where Kata shall pray ministry. No, obi a whistle blower, no obisa on like that into your washing. That minister won't move waffle. Nampada Mr. Bisa there, my son man paying other minister there, manoma. No position war premise me on nobody. Ah, all my fall for one to premise no more. Because since I'm Morocco, no oyetan, I far from premise about Undu Elmina, last 2 weeks. Elmina petrol was all about Elmina. Petrol number was quite immuna. No what change. Would you go drums over ton of my for Calabuli? And see, there's some man paying no 120 days no. And yeah, for the you want to share. And how on the yellow foam? To master there. Say about all boy for them on your son social contract now. Oh, make sure there. Minister and no man mano. On question one man because Morocco do premise no oyetan. You woman position was premising them. And so I fought for your 1 time. Make a chatua. Oh yeah, 120 days. Minister, say your name in the year premise, Mrs. Yala. Only 1 year. Wabano. One wabana. We fail Ghana for fail partner. Oh yeah, man, pay mamma who didn't know. Until Baya, and can we also some minister? Because Secretary of Police War premise no be so like there, and one can. Into Nkawashia, another minister, Yanni Juma on ye.
Now, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, Ishaku Nuhu Putiaha, has assured the people of Tumu in the Sisala East Municipality of the Upper West region of plans by the agency to soon fix the water challenges in the area. Residents of Tumu have for some time now grappled with lack of potable water, especially from their pumps. Rafiq Salam reports from Tumu.
Tumu, one of the fastest growing towns in the Upper West region. This sprawling, beautiful town located in the eastern corridor of the region and a gateway to neighboring Burkina Faso is overwhelmed by its increasing population. Social services have been stretched to its elastic limits, threatening its security. One of those services is the water supply system. Water supply to the town over the years has been erratic despite efforts by the government through the Ghana Water Company Limited and the Community Water and Sanitation Agency to fix it has not yielded the desired results. The erratic power supply by the VRA Netco is an affront to the speedy and smooth operations of the supply of water by the water companies. As a result of that, water is being rationed here. A resident of Tumu, Issa Canton, explained further.
For instance, yesterday, Naminjan Lowo was supposed to have water on Tuesday. The water didn't flow. Thursday too, they were supposed to have water, but unfortunately, it didn't. Only for it to flow just yesterday for some few seconds, minutes, and it went off because of power fluctuations. And of late, these days, we have a lot of power fluctuations. Any little storm, or even we don't even know whether it's the storm or whatever, the lights goes off. And we've been told that once lights goes off, they have to reschedule or repump the water into the various pumps to be able to distribute to the various sections for them to have water.
Also feeling the pinch of the scarcity of water in the township is Haji Lubaba to Isa. Though she has drilled a mechanized borehole for domestic purpose, but has not been forced to turn it into a commercial venture.
The water is not flowing regularly. At times, even because of the borehole, we are not getting water. Unless 2 weeks, 3 weeks time that they will open the pipe. Even when they open it, it will not be flowing like how it will flow, that everybody will get water. So at times it's difficult for us to get water, even because of this borehole that is helping us small.
The unstable or unreliable water supply in the township has resulted in yellow gallons, popularly known as Kufuor gallons, and other undescriptive water containers, snakes, daily in front of private mechanized boreholes. Assembly member for Namibian electoral area, Bangiluri Abu, owns this washing bay. The erratic water supply in the area has forced him to devise other means of being in business.
We normally buy the water from those who dug their own boreholes and others. And normally a day we will buy about twice in a day to be able to wash the machines.
So how much do you buy?
At least a tractor is about 150 Ghana cedis. A full tank. A full tank is 150 Ghana cedis. Definitely, the profit margin there, we can't talk of that one. But we also need to serve our people too.
In other news, the Metropolitan Chief Executive of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, has shared plans for a potential decongestion exercise in the Kotokuraba market in Cape Coast to ease the population burden in the market and combat accessibility challenges. The announcement follows a Joy News report on accessibility issues in the Kotokuraba market, where during a simulation exercise earlier this month, the Central Regional Fire Command complained about the market's poor infrastructure, hindering their activities in cases of fire outbreaks. In an engagement with Kotokuraba market traders, the MCE observed that even areas where firefighting equipment are stationed in the market have become trading grounds, and believes a decongestion exercise and punitive measures are the best steps to address the accessibility challenges, as well as fight against risk of potential vehicular accidents. Abigail Isalin Kroma has more.
Accessibility issues have been largely blamed by the Ghana National Fire Service as one of the causes of widespread fires in Ghanaian markets. During an engagement with traders at the Kotokuraba market, the Metropolitan Chief Executive of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, complained about business settlements around fire equipment stations in the markets and warned of punishments for the people found culpable of this act.
Now, when you come to Kotokuraba market, it has been an issue. The place is highly congested and people are sitting on the street, which means they are not allowing car to be actually motorable or to allow the pedestrian even to move. They are sitting on the street selling. So if I want to apply robust decision or robust step, I don't think that would inure to the benefit, collective interest of all of us. We need to first engage them, solicit their ideas as to what we can do together. Then they will come out with the plans and come up with a suggestion, so that at the end of the day, if they go against the very rule that they have set, it means the law will catch up with them.
To address the risk of vehicular accidents and fire outbreaks, the MCE believes a decongestion exercise will solve the market's overpopulation challenge.
We have a place for our fire officers within the market, but where the fire tenders are, people have erected containers on the fire tender and a fire hydrant. Then where there should be a way, if there was any outbreak, the fire service would have access to get into the market. They have actually blocked the place. They have barricaded the place. So I came with the fire service to educate them and to let them know that where they are sitting, wouldn't be of help in case there's fire outbreak. So the assurance is that they are going to give the fire service a way in order for them to work harmoniously with them. If they go against the set rule, they go contrary to the set rules of which we all actually agreed, then there will be punishment. I think the police will come in, the fire service will come in, the city guard will come in, and there is a court towards that. When you are apprehended and you are sent to that place, nobody will come and beg for you.
From the Kotokuraba markets in Cape Coast, Abigail Lisel reports for Joy News.
Business Update is next with Benjamin Akapo.
A warm welcome to our Business Update on the AM show. In our first story, Deputy Minister of Energy and Green Transition, Richard Jan Mensah, has announced the government plans to roll out sustainable energy infrastructure, including the establishment of electric vehicle charging stations across the country. According to him, the initiative will be implemented in collaboration with oil marketing companies as part of efforts to promote the adoption of electric vehicles and support Ghana's transition to cleaner energy. He made these remarks at the CEO's time with the ambassador and the minister event organized by the Ghanaian German Economic Association here in Accra.
There is so much opportunity in the export business over here. Myself and my directors are developing the Youth in Export program. And what you seek to do with that basically is to visit some communities with that and meet with the community leaders, the elders, just for them to allocate some land to the youth of the community. And we at GEPA are going to provide them free pineapple suckers, because I am actually in the process of procuring over 2 million suckers. And we are going to distribute that free of charge. Now, officers from GEPA and FAGE together, that is the Pineapple Growers Association, will visit these farms and build their capacity as to how to go through the cultivation and certification, so that when it is harvest time, you have the exporters buying it from them directly and exporting. All the proceeds will come back to the children. None, not even a cedi, will come back to GEPA. So that is what we are seeking to do. And we believe that going forward, we intend to assist the government. Our main mandate, to assist the government in the execution of the accelerated export development program.
Now, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is hoping to increase non-traditional exports through its Youth in Export program. The authority is providing the youth with inputs to produce pineapples solely for export. According to the chief executive of GEPA, Francis Kojo Arthur, this is due to an increase in demand for the pineapples in the United States and European markets. He spoke to Joy Business.
We know when price of fuel goes up, it does impact on price of goods and services negatively. And so if the price is seeing a drop, then of course it must impact on the price or cost of goods and services positively. And so to ask about price reduction for transport or transportation, that is in the right direction. I will even go from the perspective of a Ghanaian, that if we are seeing a windfall on this side, then of course it must translate in same on the side of transportation.
Well, that's it for our business updates this morning. But we've done a bit of a switcheroo. Henceforth, you'll be seeing sports coming right after the news review. And today being the start of the week, we're capping it off with the business update. Sports will be coming your way in a bit. Do stay.
We start with the Minister of Sports and Recreation Committee that was set up to investigate the death of Nigerian boxer Gabriel. The 7-member committee led by Ambassador retired Amakai Amatefio presented their report to the sports minister on Friday, and they say that this is a wake-up call for Ghana sports.
We have submitted our report. It's a 100-page report. We've taken so much into consideration. We've interviewed 30 people. We did interview 30 people in Nigeria, in this country, and in London. So we believe that we've done the best we can. We cannot, and we should not say anything about the contents. It will not be polite. It will be disrespectful to the government to say anything about the contents. We have presented it to the government, and they will have to look at it and accept their recommendations or reject them or add to them. But that is the work of the government, and we cannot. It will not be polite.
You people have been here working, yes, with spiritual and moral support, but we're not able to support you the way we should. But you kept coming and you continue doing it because you did it for the love of country. And like you commended persons you encountered along this investigation, I am also impressed that we have people who will put in their all, even when we did not have everything to make your work comforting. You continued to come, you stayed on, and even did 24-hour work just to finalize and then have this report. We are impressed, we are happy, and we will work with it. It's unfortunate that the Nigerian boxer have to go the way he went, but at least both, not just Ghana, but like Chairman said, the two federations or associations will learn something, and the boxing federations in West Africa and Africa, and possibly even the world, will also learn something. And not just boxing, other federations who sometimes conduct activities without following the laid down processes and procedure. This is a wake-up call that we must all do the right thing.
And we'll be able to get contents of the documents subsequently in our bulletins. Let's go to women's football, where Police ladies, they've won the Women's Premier League for the first time in their history after defeating defending champions Ampem Dakwa ladies by 2-0 at the University of Ghana Stadium. Jane Eyeyam, former Ghana Black Maidens striker, opened the scoring for the Police lady in the 27th minute before Victoria scored in the 89th minute to wrap up the scoreline as they celebrate victory.
From Nana Ama, equally one of the experienced goalkeepers for Police ladies. An attempt on target. Ampem Dakwa ladies find the back of the net. But the offside flag had already been raised. Something that she saw late before jubilating. Rita and Cancer telling the lights of Comfort Yabua Latifa Abisik to ensure that their hands are in natural position. Any failure to do that will result in a penalty kick. It's swung in and it's a goal. Police ladies gets the first goal. Look at the passion, look at that celebration. Explosion of joy here at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. Police have gotten the much anticipated lead.
Police ladies who are representing Ghana in this year's CAF Women's Champions League, if they are able to qualify from the Waffle Zone to represent the country in the women's competition. And also in the Women's FA Cup, Fat Ladies, they have been relegated from the Women's Premier League. However, they defeated Ionina Ladies in extra time to win the FA Cup.
Faith still in possession as they seek to get the first goal before the first half ends. A shot, wow, on target. It's swung in for
This game is serious, you know.
Annabelle
is brilliant.
Holds on. If only her goal stands the test of time.
That is another
police. The police service here are also so joyous. And
serious.
just when I was questioning whether the goal, and it's a goal. Joyce Atimbila finally breaks the deadlock for Ionina Ladies. Joyce Atimbila gets the goal. So much.
Let's bring you some results of matches that were played in the Ghana Premier League. Kumasi Asante Kotoko secured a 4-1 win over Dreams FC. Vision FC also won 2-0 against Young Apostles. Karola United won 3-1 against Midiama SC, and Brekum Chelsea, they sat at home and lost 1-0 to Accra House of Oak, and Samatex, defending champions of the Ghana Premier League, won 2-1 against Bechem United. And Basake Holy Stars, they were also at home and they drew 0-0 against Heart of Lions. So these were matches played in the Ghana Premier League. Other matches will be happening today, especially one involving Legon Cities and Bibiani Goals Stars. And we wrap up with some community football put together by my colleague Fentu Tahiru. And that is your sports for now. You can head out to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. We appreciate your time.
Chalo, Bugubele and Nabulo have booked their sports in the main event on May 24 at the Tumu Stadium AstroTurf. Bugubele advanced with a 4-3 penalty shootout win over Kulfu after a 1-1 draw in regular time at Tasso. At the Mandwani School Park, Chalo edged Nabugubele 1-0 thanks to a decisive strike from Isa Hakunajahu, who was named man of the match.
I feel very excited, very happy for that we won the game, and I was named the man of the match. That's not the most important. The most important thing is the win. But to be named the man of the match is also something to be happy about.
Nabulo produced a standout performance on day one, trashing Mandwano 5-1 at Bichemboy to seal their place. The action continues at 3 p.m. today with 3 more playoff matches lined up. Bujan will face Sakai at Payne, co-host Afiasi at the Tumu Stadium AstroTurf, while Vamboy take on Tasso at Bugubele.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you for joining the conversation. Don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. And the question, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Well, Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit here in Accra. And now they have their new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. A1. Give us a call now on these numbers, 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also check us out on www.waylead.org. Let's segue neatly into our news review segment now. And shortly, we will have maybe, just maybe, but let me introduce the guests for now. Victoria Bright, lawyer and entrepreneur. She joins the conversation. We also have Amanda Clinton, head of chambers with Clinton Consultancy. Both of them join the conversation. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I am very well. Both of you are looking smashing, dashing this morning.
Thank you.
I was teasing Amanda about her butterfly dress. Okay, so let's get right into it. But before we do, I made mention of something at the start of the show. I slept through darkness from yesterday on the back of the rain. We called ECG, and we were given some, excuse about the flooding and all of that. And this morning as well, a call was put to them, and then we realized there was a bigger problem. One of the feeds was down. I must commend the ECG's, the operators of the, what do you call those? Customer service, the calls. They are doing very well. When you call them, sometimes you call and you realize they are tired, but, they still are very sober and give you information. But if you slept through darkness yesterday, let me know. Let me know if your lights are on or if your lights are still off and all of that. Let me come to my guests. Did you sleep with light overnight?
I slept with light. I
You
was
slept
one
with
of the
light.
lucky ones.
You were one of the lucky ones. How about you?
Ajuru Ghana was one of the lucky ones. We slept with light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice areas. You guys are. You got light. In some neighborhoods I hear it wasn't that good. Anyway, so let's get into the papers. Amanda, you have the Ghanaian publisher, Daily Guide and Economic Times. But first, let's get into our thoughts for the morning. I'll start with you, Amanda.
Sure. I read a great piece on joy over the weekend inside Mahama's big push agenda, the 10 billion blueprint for Ghana's future, which is, quite hopeful because I think he said that big push contractors will be paid on time. He's promised that. And for anybody who doesn't know, the big push agenda is about housing, road infrastructure, water, youth employment, and rail. And I think, focusing on the youth is really important because I think the youth make up 57% of Ghanaians. And this is very much a redemptive presidency in terms of, for Mahama, it's his second chance to sort of show this legacy presidency. And I think he's throwing down this gauntlet with this big push agenda, which we really hope to see a lot of. 10 billion is a good start, but for, the level it's at, it's going to be, I think, more than 10 billion eventually. And ultimately, it's about Nkrumah. You know what I mean? If he's aiming for like a legacy presidency, ultimately, it's about Kwame Nkrumah.
That's the benchmark, huh?
Yes, that's the benchmark, because he was really about changing what people believed was possible in Ghana. And so by just setting down this gauntlet, we hope 10 billion is the beginning of something massive.
Right.
Beginning.
We're talking $10 billion.
Beginning.
Anyway, let's come through. Of course, if you put that vis-a-vis our GDP, that gives you a certain context, doesn't it? Vicky?
I guess for me it's the flooding.
The flooding.
Yeah, it's a perennial problem, and it's 2025, and I think that really it's we need to sort it out because it's claiming lives. People are dying as a result of this flooding, and I think there needs to be some some infrastructural, whatever needs to be done, because I understand the development of these anti-flood infrastructure has been stalled for various reasons. So we need to take it a lot more seriously than we do. I mean, of course, every government, as soon as someone dies, or when we go through really bad floods and you have quite a lot of people dying, they come out, they set up the committees, they go and do the visits, they talk a lot about it, and then we all think, okay, the next time when this happens, it's not going to be the same thing, and it is the same thing. So we just need to find a solution to it that works, you know.
Right. Well, what do you think can be done, though? I mean, I'm sure you've been across the world, I know that, but you've lived in Ghana for a long time,
yes.
On and off, sometimes continuously. What do you think we're lacking? What are we missing?
I think we just need to put in place the necessary infrastructure. Isn't that our problem in Africa? It's infrastructural, or one of our major problems is lack of infrastructural development to a certain level. Of course, we have some infrastructure, but we need to take it to a certain level. And in Ghana, you know, we have two major seasons, and the rainy season is inescapable. So I think we need to revisit our infrastructure. I don't know whether they are obsolete or they are not there, or a combination of both. But whatever it is, it just cannot be allowed to continue in this way. Ghanaian lives are too precious. And also, quite apart from claiming lives, it also destroys properties. You know, a lot of people don't have insurance, not because they don't want to, but they can't afford it. Some don't even understand how it works, you know, and people lose everything in these floods. So we need to really, really take it seriously, or more seriously than we do at the moment.
Yeah, it can't be situation normal. Amanda,
Absolutely.
let's start with the papers now. Can we start with your paper?
Yeah, the Ghanaian Publisher. I'm going to focus, I think, on.
So give us the the headlines, all the headlines first from the front page, and then you can select your
The Ghanaian
stories.
Publisher talks about Alfred Mahama name pops up in Galamsey activities. It also talks about Dumso exposes grumbler, Jinapo, and Baumir shows class at IDU, calls for trust amongst global leaders. But I think I'd rather focus on the inside stories. And two of the leading stories as well is the Mpox cases increased to 4 in Ghana. And so Mpox is previously known as monkey pox. Symptoms, in case you come across them, include a rash, fever, swollen lymph nodes, muscle and back pain, headaches, and extreme fatigue. And health experts warn that the disease can be transmitted through direct skin contact, bodily fluids, and in some cases, sexual contacts. But 4 is a big deal in a pandemic scale because, you know, 4 can turn to 8 and 28 and then so forth. And the Coalition Against Galamsey demands prosecution of Akonto Mines. And they're basically saying that Akonto Mines has been operating illegally since 2022, particularly within protected areas, and this is allegedly. And the ministry's own findings provide ample evidence and grounds for criminal prosecution. And this coalition is basically saying partial sanctions is not enough. So those are my 2 main stories.
Interesting thoughts there on, Mpox, and the World Health Organization had to stop using monkeypox because of stigma, especially in our part of the world. Ebola and others come with certain stigmas attached to them, and that's why now we would prefer to use Mpox and just move forward with that. Vicky, it's a bit of a concern, isn't it, that
yes,
we have these cases and it can have its own debilitating effects, though it's not necessarily fatal.
Yes, it's of great concern. In fact, that's one of the stories I was going to cover as well, because, it's clearly something that must be taken seriously, and is being taken seriously.
It is.
I think we had an outbreak a few years back, and they managed to contain that. So let's pray that they are able to contain this too, because these things have a way of just going viral, and nobody wants to be suffering from Mpox just because you go and shake somebody's hands and maybe it's sweaty and all the rest of it. So yes, it's something that
you just unwittingly played on words there. It has a way of going viral. It's a viral infection going viral.
Exactly.
And I was just thinking, now I'll have to stop shaking people's hands because you just mentioned that. I'm going to now stop.
There's something though. We often talk about wash, water, sanitation, hygiene, and all of that. Long before COVID-19, I do surgical washes whenever I go to that, and I wash often in the day. It's one of the ways we can all, try to avoid some of these, because there's a lot of touching that goes on. And unfortunately, I'm saying this because I've seen it. You go to certain places and people even use washrooms and they don't wash their hands.
Yeah.
And they're out there giving you fist bumps and shaking your hand. So.
And then those who urinate by the roadside still in 2025, they do their whatever and then they carry on walking because, of course, you don't have water on you. Even if you did, you wouldn't have soap on you. So, and we are a very tactile society. So it doesn't help,
right. Anything else you'd like to add on that? And there's also the bit about Akunta mining. Any thoughts on that, Vicky?
Well, I mean, if there's evidence, nobody is above the law, right? That's the starting point. And if someone has committed an offense and there's sufficient ground for them to be prosecuted, then they should be prosecuted, whoever it is. So I don't know. I mean, the coalition is saying that they have sufficient grounds. If that's the case, then they should go ahead and prosecute. But we don't know is the answer. We really don't know what they have and what they don't have. And if they do have what they say they have, then why have they not been prosecuted?
Interesting questions. Any thoughts on those?
I think they would have to, keep reading on it and keep it, assessing the evidence in order to do it. But I do think leadership comes from the top. And, even agencies like Ghana Maritime Authority in the last few years has very actively, pursued individuals who enter our space without the right permits, etc., and even gone to the extent of criminal prosecutions. So let alone a national issue such as, our water bodies and different things like that. But I just don't think it's something you enter lightly. You really have to see the evidence, and if you're going to make an example of a company, because companies have special rights as well.
Indeed.
You'd have to lift the veil of incorporation and go behind it to the officers in particular and different things. So it's something that would have to be thought through, and the Attorney General would have to look into it seriously, whether this is going to be a test case or not, basically. So I think it's right to take their time before deciding on such a big move.
Right. Any other stories you'd like to highlight for us?
Not in this paper.
Not in this paper. Let's get to your paper, Vicky.
Honestly, okay. I'll read the headlines.
Yes.
First of all, police nab robbery suspect in Togo.
So this is the Daily Guide.
The Daily Guide, yes. I have the Daily Guide. And then, so the guy has been extradited back to Ghana from Togo. 500 written submissions received by the CRC. Africa's digital future must be forged by Baumia. And then the big headline here is Chikata, or is on the CJ removal. Chikata, Vomavo, represent petitioners. And then we have the Mpox case, which we have already covered. And a swoop, the editorial is on the migrant beggars in Ghana. And the government, GIS kind of removing them. I think that's it, really. That's what we have. The thing about the migrant beggars is interesting because we've all seen them, driving, when we're driving by the roadside, and we've seen them, and some of them can be actually quite, most of them are harmless, but I've had situations where I was driving and my windows were up, I didn't put them down, and they were actually banging really hard on the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just tapping, but literally banging with anger. So what the GIS is saying is that I think Nigeria has been on top of this problem now, and so they see Ghana as somewhere where, you know, Ghana has now become the preferred destination here, because they, you know, they feel that they believe that Ghanaians are generous, and Ghanaians are generous, and so it's taken advantage of the generosity of Ghanaians. And also...
The question sometimes then is, how long do you stretch your generosity? Because generosity cannot be endless.
Yes.
Now, there are certain dynamics within the Ecowas sub-region. As far as I know, once you're within the sub-region, you can move to another country.
Very
sometimes
easily.
even without the necessary
very easily.
Transitional documents. But you can stay for 6 months, thereabouts. And beyond 6 months, you become an illegal, you know, immigrant within the sub-region. So you have that window. A lot of them are here in this country beyond 6 months. I listened to some of those who spoke, and they made mention of the fact that, oh, in their country, like Niger, there are problems, and so they are just here to get something to eat. But sometimes it goes beyond getting something to eat. It goes
beyond that.
It wades into criminality and all of that. So
and
how
a lot
do we
of
address
them,
those?
a lot of them are from Niger. Apparently, the majority of the beggars, migrant beggars, are from Niger. And as the government rightly pointed out, Niger is no longer part of Ecowas, because while they were in Ecowas, there was that extra duty. You know, it made it more difficult because you don't want to cause any issues with fellow ECOWAS country citizens. But they no longer are in ECOWAS. So I guess it makes it a little bit easier for the government to make these swoops.
So with these street urchins, the mendicants, if you want to call them that, especially the children, you know, we also have laws. I remember there was a time where Child Rights International, Bright Appear, and others were talking about, because these children have rights.
Sure.
They ought to be in school.
Of course.
They don't ought to be on the streets. That is those that may be Ghanaian. But even those that are foreigners, they shouldn't be on the streets. So how do we protect all of those? It's a pretty convoluted issue. But I guess, I don't know whether you have a take on that, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's back to the big push agenda, you know, dealing with youth, employment, unemployment, etc. It can have knock-on effects to disenfranchised groups in terms of people begging and young people begging, etc. But, you know, with this 10 billion big push agenda, housing, road infrastructure, rail, it's all really important, but our future is in the youth, and if over 57% of Ghana is made up of youth, I think a lot of money being invested in them would be helpful, and non-traditional routes where a lot of people can actually feel the benefits long term. The other thing I picked up on with that paper is the thief being returned, the armed robber.
Oh, that's what
Yes,
that was going to be my second story in my paper.
Okay, so I don't know whether have you done that story already?
No,
it's not been done yet. So
no, you brought it up at the beginning.
So if you're going to that story, then let her read it so that your reaction would then be.
Yeah, so that was actually going to be my second story to cover here.
Yeah.
You know, this guy has been a menace. He's been involved in major criminal activities in East Legon, Cantonment Ridge, Tesano, and Airport Residential area.
Can you give us more details about,
yes, so basically, so an armed robbery suspect identified as Adinda Akpo Mujibu has been apprehended in Togo and subsequently transferred to Ghana. So he's someone that was wanted by the Ghana police. And in conjunction with Interpol, collaboration between Interpol Accra and Interpol Lomé, they were able to arrest him in Togo. They knew that he had left the country, and they weren't sure whether he was in Togo or Ivory Coast, or, you know, but they knew he was in the Ecowas region. And through policing, you know, and cooperation with Interpol, they were able to apprehend him and bring him back home. So he's now back here, and he'll be dealt with accordingly. I mean, of course, we are grateful because these kinds of people are a menace to our society, and they have to be dealt with very, very seriously in no uncertain terms to be as a deterrent. It's not good enough to think you can do whatever you like and then hop over the border and hide somewhere. And maybe before things got so developed, that was possible. But, you know, we're in a different age, different era now. And so it's really quite comforting for the citizenry to know that these people can be apprehended, whether or not they are in the original country in which they committed the crimes. Otherwise, they'll probably, I mean, sometimes it's a syndicate, you know. You just catch, there's a syndicate, and they go from country to country. So they go here, do what they're doing, and then go somewhere else and wait for the dust to settle. And then, you know, 2 years later, they're come back and, so it's great. And congratulations to the Ghana police and to Interpol for ridding us of this.
I mean, these syndicates, they sow the seed of terror. And there's something else I want to, about another one, a kidnapping racket. But let me also just, I was monitoring Facebook. It's been a while. We just came online on Facebook. So for those of you who like to monitor us on Facebook, have the live interactions, you can join us there now. We're active now, but we've been active on YouTube. Thank you all for watching. So there's recently something I watched from the Ghana Police Service about this kidnapping incident of some 2 ladies, and you know, I think this whole romance scam thing, and then they ended up in Nigeria asking for huge sums of money and all of that, and a report, you know, was being given. So these collaborations are happening more, Interpol, and then because this was Ghana tracing, because the kidnappers had asked for account Momo details where money was sent. There was someone active in Ghana. There were others from the other side. And in the end, in collaborating with the Nigerian police force or service, they were able to apprehend the Nigerians involved, which is great stuff.
That's good. Yes, I mean, the human trafficking unit at CID headquarters, who I know, you know, through work, is excellent, but they are hugely under, I wouldn't say necessarily understaffed, but in terms of logistics,
all through.
Yeah, logistics, you know, is they're not given that much, and you know, sometimes they even have to take out of their own pocket to make sure that somebody is returned to Nigeria, etc. So I think putting more money into units like that who go out of their way to liaise with their counterparts is really important. And in relation to the you know, the armed robber that has been brought back, I really do think it's so important that the IGP is not just about offences, but preventative measures before these offences take place and to ensure public safety. For instance, in Ajirigano, there's a place called Mana Valley Police Station. And, you know, if you go there, all of a sudden, I mean, that serves all of Ajirigano. Someone has taken the initiative to remove nighttime presence at that police unit. And so it's only daytime. And so things like that in an area like that, it's preventative to make sure you have nighttime manor police, you know, police officers. And I think, you know, in the IGP coordinating how his officers are doing things like this, it's really important for high target areas to have police at hand, because the locals can take the police's number and in a second that police could be deployed at a house, etc. So it doesn't have to take, you know, going to Togo to get this armed robber back, but necessarily the police were there within 3 minutes because they are stationed there. And so strategic insight and intelligence is so important, not to remove important resources in key areas. And as he follows his mandate, I really think it's important to prevent and detect crime and ensure public safety before, you know, armed robbers strike. So it's a bit close to my heart.
I can see that. I can see that. Let's get some other stories, Vicky, if you have any.
No, I think I'm done for this one.
Okay, before I get into my paper, over the weekend, I mean, I saw a story in respect of the Ecowas and slapping Ghana with some charges in respect of, you know, the Western Togoland group and how they were detained It wasn't about the legality or illegality, but about the fact that they were detained for a protracted length of time without certain processes happening. And so Ghana had been slapped with a fine. I think each one was going to get some $2,000+. I think it was upwards of some $75,000 thereabouts. I wanted to pick your brains on this because, you know, sometimes things happen in Ghana and then you are taken to the Ecowas court and all of that. And
I'm not familiar with that story, actually.
Let me just look up that story. I actually posted it somewhere in there, but it was interesting on the back of Ecowas sometimes, you know, baring its teeth and doing reparation from time to time. Okay, so let me get into this paper with the headlines, and then maybe when I find that story, I'll get right into it. So Economy Times now. Blooming economy, boosted investor confidence. Mahama extolled amidst call to sustain gains. CD rebounds from world's worst to best performing currency. And then Ghana to lose out on oil revenue for 2025 as global forecast price falls below $65 per barrel. And those are some of the key stories. But we also wanted to let you know about the weather, what you can expect in the course of the coming days. And we have someone from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Deputy Director, Joseph Tete Potofi. He joins the conversation. So his proper designation, Deputy Director of Synoptic Meteorology and Forecasting at the GMET. Joseph, good morning. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a privilege having you. Even before we get into what we can expect, yesterday I got on my phone an alert that there was a 70%, 40% chance of this and that. Walk us through what led to those heavy rains, that downpour yesterday.
Yeah, very well. Within a week, we're monitoring it, and it's like there was a lot of moisture in the system from the Guinea coast. And we also have a convective activity around Ghana. So the system moved from south of Lagos, and we're tracking it. And then by around 4 or 5 p.m., it started hitting the coast of Ghana. Not only the coast of Ghana, but there was another one also up in the middle belt. So virtually, it came down, and then that's why we had lightning and thunder, because we have a lot of heat in the system, a lot of energy in the system. There was thundering, there was strong part of the country, and then there was a downpour also.
As the GMET, were you expecting it to be as severe as it was? Some people spoke about massive flooding. Even this morning, en route to work, some places were still, you had to drive slowly because of pools of water. Were you expecting it to be this strong?
Very well, because when we look at the moisture level and then the convective nature of it, we knew if it comes and it stays for the next 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, it will create flooding in some areas. Yeah.
And it did. It also knocked off or knocked out power in some areas. But now moving on, what can we expect this week? We are in the first. We've just got outside of the first quarter of the year. What can we expect in May, and especially this week?
Yeah, this week, for today, along the coast, because a lot of energy has been taken out of the system, we are not expecting much along the coast. But Axim will get something. Then the middle belt from Hood, Kitikrachi, Kumasi, Odan, Techiman, and Indebaron, by the close of the hour, around from 2 to 3 o'clock, they are expecting to get some heavy rains. The forest there, in the southern sectors, no. In the northern part of the country, yes. Somewhere in Boko and areas, we are also expecting to get something small there, yes. Currently, we are getting into the peak of our rainy season, so people should be careful, yeah.
We are getting to the peak of the rainy season?
Yes.
So the peak for the first phase, right? Because there's a second belt from around September, right?
Very well. So the peak will when we get into June, June is the peak of the rainy season. And once you are getting this heavy rain, it means the land and every place is to be saturated. And when they get saturated, any little that flash flood, yes, because we have developed, especially those of us in the city, have paved our houses, have concrete our houses. So while the little land surface that is there, and cover that is there, is saturated, we should expect a lot of flash floods. Yeah. And unfortunately, our gutters are not purple as at now because we need to expand them. So any little rain definitely will cause a flash flood. That's happened yesterday.
Okay, I'll just need you to speak up a bit. I've been losing you a little. Just finally, you mentioned that the coastal belt, there'll not be that much rain, but then you mentioned Accra in the western region. So just give us hotspots that likely will be experiencing some rain in the course of this week, if you can do that for us.
Yes, as I said, Accra, because Accra is a forested area. So once it's a forested area, yes, any little moisture go up, it comes down. The hilly areas, mountainous areas, and the forested areas in the country will experience something today. But for us in Accra, yes, by the close of Wednesday, Thursday, we should expect another rain in Accra. Yeah.
But not today. When I look at my...
No, not today. Today, no.
Today?
For the coastal areas today, no. We are not expecting anything.
Okay. Google is alerting me that today in Accra, there's a 40% chance of a thunder shower. Well, I guess nature will take its course. We're grateful, sir, for your time with us.
Thank you very much.
This morning. Thank you so much. That is Joseph Tete Potofi. He's Deputy Director at the GMET, and he joined the conversation. The rains, again, we've been talking about the rains and everything in between. Did you sleep through it, or did you feel it for real? Were you returning from... You didn't even hear it?
No, I didn't hear it.
Wow, good for you. You know, when it happens like this, a lot of people, especially those using public transport, you're trying to now find your way back home and all of that from church or from other economic activities, and it can be terrible sometimes.
Yes. I mean, I slept. I was fine, but it was quite noisy.
It was.
Yes.
Let's get into the stories I started with. And blooming economy boosted investor confidence, Mahama extolled amidst call to sustain gains. So several economists, analysts, and the business community have appreciated the President John Mahama administration for the remarkable and unprecedented turnaround of the economy in the first 120 days of his government. The key stakeholders of the Ghanaian economy, including ordinary citizens, have all been amazed and jubilant as the local currency, that is the cedi, in the past weeks appreciated against the US dollar and other foreign currencies amidst tax cuts and notable governance reforms. A managing partner of Confidence, an advisory firm, Michael Koto, noted a steady recovery in business confidence following a prolonged period of economic turbulence. He pointed out that past economic challenges such as inflation, the domestic debt exchange program, currency instability and turmoil in the banking sector had severely impacted the economy. And Mike, a very good morning to you as well, Michael Koto of Confidence. Then there's cedi rebounds from world's worst to best performing currency. In a remarkable turnaround, the Ghana cedi has emerged as the world's best performing currency in 2025, according to data from Bloomberg, appreciating nearly 16% against the US dollar since April and trading at 13 cedis and 20 pesos as of early May 2025. This resurgence marks a stark contrast to its status as the worst performing currency in 2022, when it lost over 55% of its value. I'll end it there. And you're in the business community as well, the legal community, the business community. How are you feeling the impact of this? Because sometimes when we read these stories, people say, yes, but what is the impact on the ordinary Kwame, the ordinary Ama? I'll start with you, Vicky.
Well, I mean, look, it's a good thing. And I think, first of all, the president and the finance minister should be commended, and the Bank of Ghana as well. You know, it's always a good thing when the currency is just not running, wild, because it helps businesses to plan better, et cetera, et cetera. There have been, there is a combination of factors that have led to this point. And of course, in addition to the policies that the government has introduced, there have also been good things like the price of gold and cocoa and the increments in remittances and all the rest of it. They have also, the FX injection timings, and then some of the fiscal reforms that have come about as a result of the IMF debt restructuring process. So it's good. I was reading that someone bought Kinky for 3 cedis, and so that's a direct impact for us businesses. Because I don't think Kinky has been 3 cedis for a long time. So he was like, "Hey, because
I mean, the least I have encountered is about 5 cedis.
Yes, exactly.
That's the least I have encountered.
So the guy showed up and he was pleasantly surprised because the Kinky lady said it's 3 cedis now. And he was like, wait.
Where was this? Do you know where?
I don't know where it was. I think people will rush there. But so that's a very happy Ghanaian citizen. And I think for businesses as well, it helps with planning. And it helps us because, when the currency is just not going in the right direction, the impact on businesses can be quite debilitating. And so personally, I'm happy. There are other factors. The problem, or not problem, because I want to be optimistic about this. What we have to do is to sustain it. So I think sustainability is the thing that we have to think about, because there are some outside influences, as I said earlier, and also the US is weakening against the other major currencies. And of course, all these things are benefiting us as well.
But it started, gaining strength again on the back of the China-America
exactly.
90-day hold.
90-day hold.
So now we are seeing, and the hope is that it will not impact the appreciation that
yes, and also, of course, our ratings as a country has gone up.
Indeed.
We're SD status now, we're CCC+. So we're heading in the right side. Hopefully we'll be in the B soon. So I'm very excited about it. I'm happy to see this happening. And congratulations to the President and the Finance Ministry for doing this. And Gold Board, of course, is another reason.
It's also good to mention that as we congratulate them when these things happen,
oh, yes.
If it goes the other way, if it goes out, you must carry it on.
Absolutely,
you go carry out.
Yes, because we will feel the heat, we will feel the heat. So,
most definitely.
Yes.
Amanda?
I think the President and particularly the Minister of Finance has done a phenomenal job, particularly because it echoes internationally and it's recognized internationally, and the average Ghanaian is beginning to feel that. But I think with every major shift, one also has to be optimistic, but also look at the fact that it will take us at least 2 months to see if this is sustainable in terms of, the prices remain the same or improve in
within
2
a
months.
quarter.
Yes,
we'll
within
have
2 months to a
proper.
quarter. So we should definitely work towards that. And I think, the $350 million coming from IMF very soon helped us in some way, in terms of get this rating up, as well as the US trade war and the phenomenal job that is being done with the gold board in terms of it is an idea to try and hold gold at a high level and to sort of platform our gold, etc. But honestly, my personal view on that is that, the government cannot forget the stakeholders in the gold industry in terms of the ones who are losing licenses to gain licenses with Gold Board, and they are the ones who want to get on their feet to export quite quickly in terms of within the next month or two. So those sort of practical parts also need to be rolled out so that as many people who are involved with legal exportation can do so in the short space of time. But I think, CCC+ is a great rating, and Ghanaians are feeling it in their pocket, but we should wait 2-3 months.
Are you feeling it in your pocket?
I'm losing out a little because of it, really.
Because you're bleeding dollars to Ghana cedis, right?
I don't know, but I'm losing out a little. But I'm happy for the country, and because I am a Ghanaian as well. And
that smile on your face, like I'm a Ghanaian, but I'm bleeding, but Charlie, how you go do them? So word on the street is that Ato is forcing. Ato is forcing. And I mean, I've been reading posts on X, they're playing on the name Ato is forcing and all of that. We just pray for sustained gains. And for some people, it's not so much of, because I also read a certain bank's report. I don't want to, for the sake of mention it, but they were also saying that this could be somewhat too much of an appreciation. You know, like China, sometimes the economy is especially tweaked to weaken the currency for good reason, because there are benefits to the entire system. And some in the banking industry feel it's too much of an appreciation, and that even looking at the metrics, it would be more stable around 14.6 thereabouts by close of year. You get it.
It is a
but
bit
I
of
think
a bubble.
it's a good development.
It is a bit of a bubble, but we can't forget that, you know, Ghana is the largest exporter of gold on the African continent, and we are a leading producer of gold. And once we start implementing these new policies, look like we're sticking to it, migrate everybody on the gold board licensing, and truly mean it that we really want to get top dollar for that gold, etc., it does have market effects, I think. But, you know, let's wait to see 2-3 months. But too good is better than too bad. So.
And also, you know, with the gold board, I mean, 20% of gold export proceeds have to be converted into Ghana cedis.
Right.
So I think that would significantly
That is definitely
help.
something that will help.
Yes, exactly.
And you would see that it's also helping clamp down on some of the smuggling. I'm sure
Absolutely.
you saw that racket, that syndicate in recent times. I think there's some, is it Indians or Chinese who recently were nabbed?
Yes.
Indians.
Yes.
Indians. And
yes.
I think it's also making it a little less comfortable for some of the nefarious elements in the system to smuggle out our gold. Because as much as, I always go back to this, there have been years where we say we've exported X quantity of gold and secured Y amounts, and yet one country, let's say the UAE, Dubai, the UAE will say, we imported this much from Ghana. So where was the rest of it, and who accounted for that? It means smuggling.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the smuggling might get worse if we don't take care of our stakeholders in terms of those who can legally export. That's the irony. You know, it's a double-edged sword, because those who legally export want to quickly be migrated on this gold board licensing system in a way that they can just move the gold.
Right.
And if they don't, the smuggling will increase. And
but if you want to get migrated, the Gold Board Act specifies what you have to do. Comply, and you'll be able to go through the process.
But some of the criteria, I think there's a 2-tier system where not all the licenses are available now. You know, it takes till July for the rest of the licenses to be available. But things like smelting...
But are some of those who have been in the system who will merely be rolled over? They just have to go through
but for
again.
instance, things like smelting of gold is elementary to those who export gold. And I think that license comes up in June or July. But they need to have a smelting license. You see what I mean? So everything needs to be put in place so that all the licenses are available and they export legally. Otherwise, we'll see an increase of smuggling, basically.
Another thing, I do recall when the US aid was plugged up, you know, and it was made mention that we wouldn't get, I think it was about 150 to 170 million that we got, and with the various US aid projects. Yes. And the finance minister was tasked by the president to find a way of getting around that and ensuring that we didn't feel the impact of that too much. It will be interesting to find out how we fared. At least from the optics, it looks good.
Yes.
But on the ground, US aid projects and all of that, how are things going? Let me conclude on, were you going to say something?
No. I'm good.
All right. Ghana to lose out on oil revenue for 2025 as global forecast price falls below $65 per barrel. And the world market price of crude oil is forecast to fall, this bit about forecasted, not English. It's forecast to fall to about $64 a barrel this year, as against $80.7 per barrel in 2024. The World Bank and its Commodity Markets Outlook report has indicated. But let me just get to the back page on the other page on it. It says expected. It's expected to exert substantial downward pressure on the total commodity index in 2025 as a marked slowdown in global oil consumption coincides with expanding supply. So you know the metrics in economics. Higher demand, then you know what happens to the price. Lower demand, then you know what happens to the price as well. So any quick reflections on that?
No.
No thoughts? Then let me get to inflation. So on page 5, inflation to fall further as global food inflation expected to decline. It's a story by Adnan Adams Mohammed. So Ghana's rate of inflation declined to 21.2% in April 2025. That's the latest and the lowest in 8 months. The improvement from the 22.4% recorded in March reflects the 5th consecutive month of disinflation. I'm always careful with this word, but that's what the paper has chosen to use. This means consumer prices fell by 0.8% month on month during the period under review, as analysts attribute the improvement to a stronger local currency, which has helped curb import-related price pressures. And let me see whether I can... Ghana's telecom sector suffers over 5,600 fiber cuts in 2025. There's talk about the big push. Mahama sets $10 billion target for non-traditional exports by 2030. And then Professor Lord Mensah appointed head of local government service. Congratulations to you, sir. Regular panelist here from time to time. And I think that will be it for this bit. Ghana's gold reserves jump over 31 tons in April 2025. If you have any reactions, I'll take them before I, excuse me, do the BNFT. Any thoughts? All right, so in the BNFT, Fan Milk celebrates 65 years of spreading joy. AI, innovation, and youth are the heart of AMC Tycon Africa 2025 agenda. Fuel bill to reach $1 billion in 2025. And mandatory licensing for scrap dealers by year end. GISDEC moves to regulate sector amid rising concerns. I just want to look at that story and the fuel bill story. So Ghana could spend more than $1 billion on liquid fuel to keep its thermal power plants running in 2025. Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapo, has said as rising electricity demand is expected to grow by 300 megawatts each year. He described the range of fuel products to include diesel, light crude oil, and heavy fuel oil. That is HFO. And that's, of course, $1 billion we're talking there. Then on the mandatory licensing for scrap dealers by year end, the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation has begun efforts to bring order to the multi-billion cedi scrap metal industry with plans to introduce a mandatory licensing regime targeting scrap dealers and exporters. The new regulation is intended to curb theft, environmental damage, reduce tax evasion, and protect national infrastructure, which officials say has increasingly come under threat from unregulated scrap dealers. And you know, sometimes even our traffic lights, street lights, they'll go and cut a few things. Even the railings, yes. I've seen people cut and try and use them for scrap. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a sector that's been ignored for a long time, and it's attracted all sorts of characters, and I think government has also consequently lost a lot of revenue in that sector. So, and they have caused a lot of damage. You just gave one example, which actually impact heavily on all of us, one way or the other. It's a railway scrap and all sorts of things that people are interfering with. So I think it's something that's to be welcomed. And it's something, it's long overdue. So I'm very happy about that. I remember, back in the day when I was a public servant, we were talking about scrap, and then people are not supposed to be exporting scrap, but they always find their ways to doing that, So I think, it has to be, I'm glad that it's being regulated to rein in some of these delinquent characters who have found their way into it. So mandatory licensing, I'm saying yes, the minister should hurry up and do it.
Right. Amanda?
Yeah, mandatory licensing is really good, as well as, tougher sanctions and just a clampdown on anybody who's doing this illegally on a mass scale, just to make an example of them.
Just to make an example of them.
Yes.
The story I was looking for, I have found now. So the Ecowas Court of Justice has ordered the government of Ghana to pay $75,000 in damages to 30 members of the Homeland Study Group Foundation over their prolonged and unlawful detention. The judgment delivered on Friday, that is this past Friday, at the Osborne Foreshore Court in Ikoyi, Lagos State, in suit number, it's quite a long one, declared that the Ghanaian authorities violated the applicants' fundamental human rights by detaining them for extended periods, some for over a year without trial or due process. Each of the 30 applicants is to receive $2,500 in Ghanaian cedi equivalents as compensation, the judge ruled. And that was Justice Ricardo Gonsalves, alongside Justices Shengu M. Koroma and Dupe Atoki. Quick thoughts on that? That was the story I was referencing.
Oh,
earlier.
right, okay. So what, these are people who are suspected of committing a crime and they've just been detained, or what?
Yeah, so it was about this whole bit about some secession, creating Western Togoland. Exactly.
Yes,
but per the ruling, some of them were held for protracted lengths of time, up to a year, without due process.
Well, that is wrong, obviously. You cannot, you know, freedom is a very cherished thing. And if you're going to detain someone, then you need to follow through the due process to make sure whatever it is you want to, the reason for detaining them is being investigated. And they are released as soon as possible if they are found not to be culpable in any way. So yes, I don't have any problems with that.
Amanda.
Well, I mean, of course, you know, Ghana has sovereignty in terms of we have the right to set out our own laws, but I think the court ruled that this was a direct violation of not only Ghanaian laws but international standards. And they
especially on human rights.
On human rights, and they quoted, I think, Article 6 of the African Charter, which is the right to acquire nationality. And so if you hold someone for a prolonged period of time, you know, for a year without due process or full due process, it is something, you know, that Ghana shouldn't repeat again, I think, because not only will it attract sanctions, but, you know, this sort of global attention, etc., and to maybe even showcase what their fight is, because maybe none of us would be talking about, you know, that they were advocating for the independence of Western Togoland if this decision hadn't been reached.
Of course, we also know the consequences when it comes to secession.
Yes.
The Basque, look at the Basque region in Spain, for example.
Yes. And also $2,500. I mean, if you've been detained for a year.
It's a pittance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not.
But at least something is better than nothing.
But something is better than nothing, yes. So,
I have a message from Reverend Jones Latte. He says, good morning. Permit me to compare Ghana and Jamaica with particular reference to erratic electricity supply. Jamaica has not got all the rich mineral resources Ghana has. Jamaica does not have an erratic electricity system. Ghana has. Maybe our government should seek advice from Jamaica on how to keep the power on forever. But Reverend Jones Latte, I have never been in Jamaica, so I decided to conduct a bit of a check on Google. And what I'm seeing points to the fact that they also have erratic electricity supply, some as recent as 2024. And in fact, there's a plethora of documentation on that. So I guess we just have to get our act together. I don't know whether Jamaica is the best example, but there we are with that one. Maybe we'll just wrap with a few stories on myjoyonline.com, some headlines there, and then we can call it wrap. Okay, so there we are. You are not powering an 8-hour economy, but promising 24 hours. Professor Bokbin on energy sector failure. For some reason, I can't connect to the internet now, so I'll rely on what we are all seeing there. And there's also NADMO confirms no casualties from Sunday's heavy rains. Africa's time is now. Baumia inspires with digital vision at Cambridge conference. Then there is also ECG's collection losses at 15%, distribution at 40%, not sustainable. Professor Bokpin warns. Okay, so those are some of the stories on myjoyonline.com. You can check them out for more of those. I'll take your final thoughts, ladies, and then it's a wrap. Starting with you, Amanda.
I guess my focus is on the IGP. And
why?
Because it's you know, with crime, it's not just the aftermath. It is being preventative beforehand. And I think it's about intelligence and being strategic. And so if you have to open up local police stations who previously had nighttime police presence in areas that need it, you can't take that away and then deal with the aftermath afterwards. So I think, you know, they should be very strategic. And, you know, your headline just now, you're not powering an 8-hour economy, but promising 24 hours. And he describes the state of Ghana's energy sector as one of the biggest threats to economic stability. So as we celebrate, you know, how well the CD is doing, we have to maintain that economic stability with basic things like light and just rain not affecting light.
Right. Vicky, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's really something we didn't really cover. This ECG privatization of the distribution and the collection. I think we all know that ECG hasn't functioned well for a long time. It's a systemic crisis. And I think, you know, privatization per se is not the answer unless it comes within a certain framework. So things like putting in place the necessary contractual arrangements, making sure underperformance is punished, that consumers don't lose out with higher tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. It's something that I hope makes the headline so that we can delve into it properly. So for now, this is all I'll say, that there are problems there. They are systematic in nature. We saw this, you know, the container getting missing. We have distribution losses, collection losses, you know, whatever, technology losses, transmission losses, all over the place. So I hope we get a chance to delve into it properly another time.
Thank you, Vicky. Now Manua says, I was listening to your guest talking about someone saying they bought Kenke for 3 CDs. It could be true, but let's look at the size. It will make you laugh. So I went to a local restaurant with some friends and I ordered banku and okra stew. After almost 45 minutes, here comes the waiter with the food. I checked mine and I couldn't believe my eyes about the size of the micro banku fit for a child. So I asked if it was a kid's menu, but it wasn't. So what's the size of the ball of Kenke? That's what now.
We need the guy to tell us.
We'll leave him.
It was the healthy option.
It was a healthy option. Well, let's start in your body and all of that. Belated happy birthday to Abigail Jamfi. Abigail Jamfi. You celebrated your birthday over the weekend. We're so proud of you. We thank the Lord for where He's taking you. We love you, Mommy. Take care of yourself, and God be with you always. Abigail Jamfi, belated happy birthday to you. And that's how we cap off our news review. Those who joined us, Victoria Bright. She's a lawyer and entrepreneur. Amanda Clinton is head of Chambers at Clinton Consultancy. She's also a lawyer. Stick and stay. We'll be bringing you crucial conversations, including that leap, right? We'll be bringing you details of that right here on the AM show. We'll be back.
The AM show. Now, first in our big stories today, we bring you a Joy News Hotline documentary. We bring you the extraordinary story of grit and the audacity to leap beyond limits. In a nation where parasport still battles for recognition, one teenage athlete is redefining what's possible. The audacious leap follows Gilbert Ampia, the first junior parathlete in the 95-year history of St. Augustine's College, as he jumps over not just bars, but barriers. And it is produced by Joy Sports editor Nathaniel Atop. And this is a story of strength and a dream that just might carry Ghana to the global stage. Here's that Hotline documentary titled The Audacious Leap.
A little more than 2 hours' drive from Accra, on the line of the Atlantic Ocean, is St. Augustine's College, Ghana's first Catholic second cycle institution with a great tradition of sound education spanning 95 years. In the education mix is sports, where massive achievements have been made. These include winning the Central Regional Superzonals competition 14 times. Added to these is the production of some big achievers in international sport for Ghana, including Michael Essien, Matthew Amwa, Bernard Dombote, the late Manuel Junior Agogo, and sprinter Ibrahim Fuseni of the Ghana male sprint team. The achievements of these have not only laid a foundation, but also injected a strong will in the first junior para-athlete to be produced by the college. Welcome to The Audacious Leap, a story of rare discovery, strong will, and inspired hope. Gilbert Ampea was born to parents who mostly are farmers, and the challenge of having a child who was not like everyone was a big one. In a society that has a long way to go regarding championing inclusivity for persons with physical challenges, his parents had a tough task.
Gilbert is my last born, and when the mother was pregnant, I didn't know that Gilbert would come with have a challenge physical. So when he was born, I was at home and the mother sent somebody to come and call me. So when I approached her mother, he told me Gilbert came with one leg trouble. So I said, okay, anything that will happen, it's a gift of God, so I like it. That's the response I gave her, the mother.
When I was in Form 2, like we were playing volleyball for fun.
Okay.
And my teacher saw that I have the jump to play volleyball.
Okay.
And the teacher discovered that I can do high jump. So he trained me for inter-schools athlete competition. And then I won. After then, we also went for inter-circuit in the Kunfe district. And I also won.
Wow. And that was just it? You just started playing just like that?
The volleyball?
Yeah.
Oh, the volleyball, yeah. I started from classes.
I see.
Yes, I started.
Who taught you how to play volleyball?
Oh, I think it is naturally.
I see.
Yes, please.
I see. I see. So you started in your neighborhood when you were growing up?
Yes, please.
I see.
After their final examination, and when he was first at the competition, this is education gave him a citation. So his former head teacher one day called me and said that he has having a friend teacher here.
Okay.
So, and they are having sports rehearsals. So he has sent his pictures highlight to the teacher. So I should come with Gilbert. So I came to the school with Gilbert. The mother was also included. And we came here. There was about 4 or 5. Gilbert also was first.
Wow.
So they gave me assurance that the day we came, the headmaster wasn't here. The one Mr. Dapa told me that head teacher is not here. When head teacher comes, they will narrate everything to him. And they are assuring me that they will be sure that the boy will come to school here. A farmer like me, and St. Augustine's School is not a small school. It's not a school that my child will come here. So through his competition, that has taken him to the school here.
When I took over the reins of leadership here on November 1st, the first decision I took was to admit new students and as my protocol list. And interestingly, Gilbert Ampea with an aggregate of 14 was part of my protocol list. I inquired from their coaches, why this? Because if protocol means that you are special. So what is so special about the athletes? And then I discovered that with his intellectual acumen and being a handicap, he still has some prowess in him to go far. So with that, I said, well, this is a Catholic school. We believe in inclusiveness. We believe in holistic education. And with all of us on board, we need such talent to bring the best out of them. And so quickly, I picked up the signal of admitting him into St. Augustine's College on my protocol list. And by and by, as we moved on with training, we realized that he's here to be discovered. And so it's been a wonderful experience for us as a college. And for him, it's been a moment of self-discovery that though being handicapped, he's full of the potential to excel.
So what is so special about this young para-athlete that makes him one to watch for the future?
In fact, the first time we saw this boy, we didn't give him much attention. Yes, until we brought him to the school itself. Then we started giving him more, exposure. So we started training him at a certain level. The high jump, we started at the 1.5 for him to start jumping. And we realized that he has got the potential and he can jump. So we increased the height, and fortunately he managed to jump 1.7. And we were surprised. And we said, no, this is abnormal. So we have to invite parents to come around. Then we talked to the parents, and in fact we admitted him here. And so we are very happy about that. In fact, when he came in, he was more or less shy. Yeah. So we used to put some pressure on him to go to classes. Yes, every time we have to be on his side so that we will help him to cope with the normal students. Then always during the training aspect, see, he will be coming around and feeling shy again. Maybe he will be sitting alone somewhere, and no, then we have to talk to him. In fact, we have to encourage him more and more. That's why now he has come to be with the normal people. So we don't term him as a disabled. No, right now he's a normal person with the students running, eating, playing all over. So we are very happy again.
A big day approaches, and the college's main athletes have rounded up preparation for the Central Regional Superzonals competition at the Cape Coast Stadium. While there is heavy expectation, Ampere is also gearing up for a special appearance in the non-scoring element of the much-anticipated event. Gilbert Ampere's amazing talent is one that has been noticed by his schoolmates. They have their own projections of what he can become. But first, what impact and impression is his story making on them?
Now, he's someone who represents the motto of the college. That is perseverance conquers all. Omnia vincit labor. He's someone who has gone through a lot of troubles, a lot of suffering, a lot of troubling times. And yet he keeps on persevering, and he's showing people that he's better than they ever thought he could be. He's breaking perceptions. He's doing what people thought he could never do. He's someone who should be watched carefully.
He's a very good guy. Despite his challenges, he jumps extremely high and sometimes surprises some of the teachers. But I just want to see him performing higher and higher in life. He's just good. That's all I can just say now. He's just good. Even me as a high jumper, I see him not better, but in recent years, as we've seen other high jumpers, he's been, brought some new talent, he has made the high jump eye-catching in August school.
Since I became part of this sports team, I've seen many great prospects in athletes and football. But Gilbert is an exceptional talent. I mean, he's a gem that we are now discovering his talent. You see, we get plenty high jumpers, but he's the one that you can say he's a multi-purpose high jumper. He can jump to the extent that you, as an individual, feel that this cannot be done. But by our motto, he perseveres to conquer everything. He's an extraordinary, talented young man.
He's very persistent and very hardworking, and he's always able to achieve all his goals. And he's actually also a funny guy, and actually he's very hardworking. So, as he's in St. Augustine's College, we are also here to help him as a friend and also as a team. And also the school is also in terms of helping him as our core values comes about development of talent. And also he's also an extraordinary guy.
The big day comes, and Ampea psychs himself for the big one.
When I wear the jersey, I was very happy because nobody will get the chance to participate for St. Augustine's College. When I wear the jersey, I was very proud.
I see. Whenever you are about to do the jump, do you ever get tensed? Do you ever get, like because of the crowd and everything, do you maybe get a bit nervous and all of that?
Yes.
Sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you inspire yourself to perform that way?
When we start and I jump maybe 2 times, then I get the confidence to do more.
I see. So every time is by the 3rd attempt that you get the confidence to do more. I see. How do your friends relate to you here? I mean, especially considering that you are a sports star here in school. How do they relate to you? How do they react to you when they see you, especially after they see you perform for the college?
Everyone likes me. They like me too much. They're even pampering me.
I see.
Interestingly, Ghana hosted the very first African Paralympic Games in Accra in 2023. A big legacy for that will be the likes of Ampea transitioning into the professional ranks to compete at the highest level. Already, the president of the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Dean, has made some positive gestures. Some international organizations have also made attempts to secure him admission in some foreign universities.
I am begging you, way and manner you can help this my child. I would be very grateful.
I see. Now, you watch television, you see all these big stars, they compete in all these big competitions, the Paralympic Games, the Olympics, all these, global competitions. Is it your wish that you want to see your son in those places as well?
Thank you, sir. I'm praying to the Almighty God that Gilbert should maintain his position. He should maintain his position so that Joy News can help him to do something, to participate in the Olympic Games. My wish is that I'm praying to Almighty God to maintain, as people have been seeing him, he should maintain the position.
Okay.
So this is the kind of the rich culture we have had with people whom we have, produced. And we don't only just admit people just for sports. No, we always make sure that they move beyond the four corners of this institution and make it. And so Gilbert has every courage and every strength to move on, regardless of the challenges that beset him. Gilbert is well positioned for the world, and I think the nation should watch out for him. The Paralympics organization should watch out for him. I believe and I pray that there's an opportunity for us to unearth the other talents that are yet to come. And Gilbert Ampea is one to watch in the coming years.
In fact, during his training hours, especially with his coach, we have given him some specific dates, like 2 or 3 years to come. He will be in the para national team, and we are expecting him to go more high, increase his height of the high jump, and we are expecting him to move ahead of that. If we can get sponsorship for him, that would be okay. Yes, because we need him to move upwards.
The president of the African Paralympic Committee is credited for winning the bid and hosting the first African Paralympic Games in world history in Accra, Ghana. With that success in the bag, he has already laid out plans for Ampere after learning of his talent.
I think he's super. If you look at the Ghanaian terrain, he is super. He is yet to be classified as a professional athlete and then now move into international competition, which I think that is a plus for him. And same applies to other athletes who needs to do more. And kudos to the trainers, especially the school that he is, for projecting such a talent. The development stage is very key. So if you get officers who have gotten keen interest in the development of the athletes, we are happy. We cannot reach everywhere because we don't have the funds, the muscle to pick them, groom them to become stars unless the government comes in. And exactly what the schools are doing now, getting more interest. You remember 2-3 years ago, Dinah Kubeto from Ashanti region also came into the limelight. And now we have Adehe Fortu from the Ashanti region, from Konongo, also in the limelight. We are happy with the secondary schools. And all this is because of the educational program that I brought 2 years ago through the UK aid program called Parasports Against Stigma project. I've always told people that in sports, even if you are naive, but you are disciplined, you'll be a star. I've been to competitions where I've seen people competing. You see them very dull, but when they wear the dress, the sports wear, that is where you realize that they are different people. Why? Because their mentality has been polished. They have been psyched that the only option they have is to mount the podium and get recognition. He needs to be disciplined. With what I have seen him do, he is a great asset to Ghana. Discipline is key.
A former GJA Swag Sports Journalist of the Year also sees Ampere with a positive lens. The vision from his end is clear. He wants to travel a path of greatness. While these dreams are shaped, his family remain hopeful of a better life to be achieved through his hopeful success in track and field parasport.
Well, I think he's incredibly talented, looking at the manner in which he has persisted. He has defied all odds, and I saw him during the inter-schools, and he's been very consistent with his efforts, and he can only make himself proud by becoming a national star first and foremost, and even breaking global barriers. I think that he has a talent enough, enormous enough to become a global talent if we are able to help him build his capacity, and that's the more reason why I personally had to refer him to the Ghana Olympic Committee to make it as a matter of urgency, find a way to help him with the transition from school into the national sports team for the disability sports, and also how to fund his training and other exercises. But I believe that he's supremely talented to attain global recognition very soon.
Formerly, I was thinking that, if I die early and leave him behind there, how can he continue his life because of the challenges? But I always pray that he should finish his secondary school before I die. If I can give him a shop with a hand,
like a craft or something that he can do. Yes.
So after the competition in 2023, one teacher at Konfi Adanse, called Mr. Atta, called me that what the boy has done, he can help him. So I'm here. I'm praying that somebody should help this my child, because
I want to be in the Ghana Paralympics team. And secondly, I want to participate in Africa and the World Paralympics.
Wow.
Yes, please.
I see.
The motto of St. Augustine's College is Omnia Vincit Labor, which means perseverance conquers all. Gilbert Ampere, by his journey so far, his mindset, and his will to succeed, is living the true meaning of this motto. His highly encouraging body language sends a signal to all who are quitting because things are tough to rethink Gilbert Ampere and his life. The Gilbert Amperes of this world are your inspiration. Nathaniel Atto for Joy Sports, Joy News, and Joy Prime.
So there you have it, the audacious sleep story by Nathaniel Atto, Joy Sports editor, and he's actually in the studio with me. And we also engage some other people on Zoom. We have Samson Dean. He's the president of the African Paralympic Committee. And we also engage Dr. Eko Kwenu. He's member of parliament for Ekumfi. But first, Nathaniel Atto. Nat, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
We did talk about premiering this video, and I've seen the beautiful story that you just told. How do you feel right now after watching it?
Well, I've done this for a while, so I mean, it's the satisfaction that all the work put in the background has finally seen a total element. For me, what is important is the impact, the inspiration that is going to give others, and the action that all of us as a collective are going to take based on his story, because the president of the African Paralympic Committee is taking some very major steps. I'm sure he would have a conversation with us about it, and we'll move on from there as well. And,
okay, so
that for me is very key. All
right, so talking about the steps that he wants to take, let me engage him now. And the president for the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Dean, he's joining me now on Zoom. Sir, thank you for joining us. Good morning. Do I have Mr. Samson Dean with me? Well, while we try and connect with Mr. Samson Dean, we also have Dr. Eko Kwenu. He's member of parliament for Ekumfi. Do I hear that we have Samson?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. And Nathaniel was just telling us you have some steps that you're taking. But before that, I mean, that story is very powerful and rare. Why are we still not seeing more youth with disabilities actively participating in mainstream sports institutions, like in his school, like what we just saw?
Thank you very much for having me this morning. And I would like to say that we are most grateful to Joy Sports and most especially Nathaniel Atto for his efforts to promote para-sports in Ghana. Nat has been so much involved in the Paralympic movement since 2020 that I joined the sports and leading the Ghana Paralympic Committee. He has really helped me in shaping the sports. To your question, I would say that it's all about preaching the stigma, trying to make sure that we kick against the stigma. A lot of families in Ghana are finding it very difficult to accept and agree that their family living with disability can also get the opportunity to be integrated into sports and make name as Gilbert is currently enjoying. In 2022, what I did was that I visited the United Kingdom and I engaged the UK Paralympic Committee. Then they initiated a program with the International Paralympic Committee called Parasports Against Stigma. We graciously introduced the program in Ghana, and we visited almost every training college in Ghana that teaches physical education and took them through a program that is fighting against stigma. This program really helped, and we are very happy that through this, many of the secondary schools are able to accept persons with disability to practice sports in their various secondary schools. So I would say that we are doing a lot to try and help our people,
right?
That's the citizens of Ghana, by marketing and making sure. And I think what you are doing this morning is also one of the efforts that is to help us as a nation to try to draw a framework that is doable to make sure that most of our friends who are on the street can now also appreciate the fact that sports can give them life. And I think that I will have to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to Joy FM,
all right,
Joy Sports,
and
Multimedia.
So these initiatives like the Parasports Against Stigma is more of targeted to those who are affected by this. In terms of investment, however, how are you ensuring that we have enough investment so that this doesn't become a local or only stays here in Ghana, but our parathletes can also compete on the global stage as well?
Thank you very much. I think that let me use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to the Honorable former Minister of Sports in the name of Honorable Mustafa Yusuf. I remember in the year 2022 when we were doing the education program that is the Parasports Against Stigma. I visited his office and I tried to convince him, which he wholeheartedly accepted. This is because political heads who leads this is our institution, that is the main sports agencies, should have that appreciation and understanding of the sports. And even if they do not have it, we are ready to help them to accept it. Currently, what we are doing is to do for the first time a program in Ghana that we are calling the First Open Parasports and Classification Festival. This is going to be the first of its kind in Africa. It's going to be the first of its kind in West Africa.
Okay.
It's going to be the first of its kind in Ghana. And why did we use the word open? We are making that an open event where our brothers across the world can participate. So we shall extend invitation to the 178 associations that are affiliated to the International Paralympic Committee. And we are hopeful that this is going to help shape the mindset of our people in this country. When I say the mindset of our people, I mean the political heads, especially, because they call the shots, they have the funds, and they can set the pace and standard for private sector to also appreciate the fact that so far as the nation is behind persons with disability who participate in sports, let us all contribute and make it a very prominent one.
And Samson, I like that you mentioned political heads, because we also have Dr. Ekokwenu with us. He's the Member of Parliament for Ekumfi, and I want to engage him briefly. Doc, thank you for your time as well. I hear you've been supportive of Gilbert and Pierre's journey. Thank you for that. But does Ekumfi have a long-term plan for inclusive sports infrastructure, especially for persons with disabilities? And going forward, after watching this documentary, drop a pin. What are your thoughts for us this morning?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think, first of all, I want to thank Nathaniel for this great work he has done. For me, it's a feather in my cap where I see a young man who, under normal circumstance, under Ghanaian setting, would have probably been somewhere, probably begging for alms. But he chose to fight for himself. And I think it's a very beautiful story that has happened. Fortunately, I also happen to be an old student of St. Augustine's College. And like he said, it's a Omnia Winked Labor.
Is that why you were supportive of Gilbert's story?
Not necessarily. Okay. At least we kind of share a few things together. Apart from school, he's also from my constituency. Yeah. And of course, coming from there, it is my duty to ensure that if there's an opportunity to help someone to excel, definitely I'll have to do my best. And so when he approached me, I was really excited to see the kind of perseverance he had, and I didn't have a choice but to make sure that whatever I can do to support him is done. But coming to your question, personally, during my campaign, I realized that there's quite a lot of talent within the confines of Ekumfi, not only on the Paralympic and even for people with disability, but generally there's a lot of talent over there. And I've made it one of my key factors to look at putting up a sort of a complex, sports complex, to ensure that we can harness some of the talents to also contribute to the nation's development as far as athletics and sports are concerned. So for me, this is an eye-opener for me, and I'm really encouraged to ensure that whatever effort I have to put in to make sure this dream becomes a reality is really achieved. So I'm really happy about this development, and I thank Joy FM for this really, really wonderful initiative.
So beyond your constituency, I mean, Mr. Dean was just saying that they want to crave your indulgence as policy leaders of this country to, you know, accelerate what we can do for our para-athletes. So beyond your constituency, is there any broader plan for the nation as a whole in terms of how we can support para-athletes to also excel on the global stage?
I think generally, I mean, the sports ministry has made it clear that as far as sports is concerned, it's going to be an all-encompassing approach, not necessarily only football as we have seen in Ghana for many years. It's going to diversify its portfolio to ensure that all the sporting disciplines receive the necessary kind of support. And me as a parliamentarian, definitely, if these initiatives are brought into the confines of Parliament, it's my duty to ensure that I give it the utmost support to make sure that it becomes a reality. Believe you me, I have seen how sports has made a massive impact as far as countries are concerned, individuals are concerned, families are concerned. I mean, if I should take an example of, is it Senegal? There's a footballer, I've missed the name, but he's done marvelously well, where he identified basically an issue within the country and used his own funds to establish a factory which is helping the country. So sports in its small look really can make a very huge impact for the country. And for me, at least I've played football for some time in my life, and I see what my colleagues like Michael Essien and co have become and how they've also contributed to society. And therefore, anybody who has an interest in sports definitely must be encouraged, because it has a huge potential impact on society as a whole.
And Doc, this documentary is is shining light on the Kumfi, so all eyes will be on you now to see how you turn it around. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nathaniel, you have the final word. The intention behind telling the story, would you say that, I mean, although it's only it's starting to air today, would you say that you're close to achieving that intended purpose?
Well, absolute big salutes to you, and thank you so much for the plaudits as well. I'm very grateful. So this is what we're expecting. It begins from the level of advocacy, and the foundation to the advocacy is telling a story like this and having all elements of society come together to see what is a piece of platinum in a place where nobody would give any chance, you know. And for me, this story about inclusivity starts from here. I'm glad to note that even immediately after this, the NPC president, or the African Paralympic Committee president, Samson Dean, collaborated with the college, and they had him participate in his first competition, and he won bronze. And so it just goes to tell you that this is not for a fluke. He said in the documentary that he wanted to go to the African Paralympic Committee and the World Paralympic Games. So this is it. If Ghana is able, if this story is able to end in him getting a medal at the next African Paralympic Games and then to the world event, it will be such an amazing story. So for me, the story hasn't ended. I believe that this, in production terms, could be called, you know, the first element of a sequel, because he's telling his story. What is important is that as a society we respond appropriately and make the investment. World sport is heavily hinged on certain factors. One of them, one key one, is investment.
True.
If we make the necessary investment, trust me, it will yield the results.
That's where I want to say congratulations to you, because this is an investment that you did. And I heard all, as you know, our guests congratulate you, thank you. So yes, thank you too for first telling the story.
It's also important to thank all the members of the team in the background who contributed to this, the cameramen, my lead producers, Mubarak, Haruna, you know, the drivers who had to drive between towns. You know, it's lovely. I mean, and the other untold sides of the story are the most interesting ones, where you're driving on a road that is still being constructed and there's so much bumps, and you are eager to get to the spot where you want to pick your videos and your interviews.
So thank you, Nathaniel, and your team for bringing us this powerful story, and we're looking forward to what comes after this, the sequel, like you just said. Nathaniel Atto is Joy Sports editor, and he brought the story, produced this documentary, The Audacious Leap. We spoke to Samson Dean. He's the president of the African Paralympic Committee. We also spoke to Dr. Eko Kweno. He's member of parliament for Ekumfi. And that will be it for the Audacious Leap here on the Joy News channel this morning on the AM show. Be on the lookout. We keep playing it until we've reached our intended purpose. Now, before we go, if you're looking for a home in a prime location, then Nestor's Homes has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000 and you can contact us today for more information. Let's get you sorted. These are the numbers to call: 053-101-4440 or 053-101-4447. Our website is also active, www.nestars.com.gh. More in our big stories after this break.
Welcome back on the AM show. We talk health now. We're going to have an all-encompassing conversation. First, briefly on Mpox, and then we'll talk about our mental health. But we do know that 2 more confirmed cases, bringing the total caseload to 4. One additional one from the Greater Accra region and another one from the Western region. Joining us to give us some more insight, we have Dr. Caroline Reindorf Emisa, Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, joining the conversation. Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. So we've heard from the Ghana Health Service, but what are the other details we should know as of today in respect of the caseload? Are we still looking at 4?
Yes. As of yesterday, where we had our report coming in this morning, I must say that I haven't checked because I've been on the airway since 7 o'clock, so I can't speak for this morning. But as of yesterday, we still have 4. We have 4 cases in total.
What results have contact tracing yielded so far?
Yes, so what I can say is, yes, for the cases that we have gotten, we are following them up. So we know where they live, we know who they live with, and we are following up these persons to see if they will develop any of the symptoms that we have talked about, such as the fever, the headaches, the swelling, and rashes especially.
And it's important that you're mentioning the symptoms because there are quite a number of them that we just might take for granted. Rashes, fever, headache, muscle ache, back pain, and so on.
Exactly so. Indeed, all these are symptoms that are common to a lot of illnesses. So for Mpox, we know that people may take some of these for granted, but we are saying that as soon as you see a rash develop on your face, your extremities, anywhere that you haven't seen on your body, I mean, not that you haven't seen before, but as soon as you see some of these rashes, together with all the symptoms we were mentioning, then quickly your mind should be averted to the fact that could it be Mpox, and you should kindly approach the nearest facility for us to confirm or otherwise.
Right. So how prominent will these be, and which are the first ones to manifest in terms of the symptoms?
So I believe they may all come following the other, not in any particular order.
Okay.
Like saying, you could develop a headache, you could have a fever, you could feel body aches or pain. Sometimes we wake up, we feel these ones. But as they all come together, and especially when you see the rash, I think for us, that should quickly.
Okay, that should be a signal.
Your mind to, yes.
Which areas are the hot spots or hot zones that you are targeting for now?
So we won't call any places hot spots. It could happen anywhere, but currently we have identified 3 cases in Accra, Greater Accra region, and then 1 in the Western region.
Okay.
Around the Tapa and Swayam area.
And you can say so far that all of this is under containment. It's being contained, right?
Yes, largely. The service has activated all its public health measures, and we have sensitized staff for their own protection. We have also sensitized them towards being able to pick up, so they develop a high index of suspicion and be able to pick up some of these cases. And of course, we are continuing to sensitize the public. I think for us, it's also very important. We need the support of the public, because if people have these and they sit home or they do not report, then it makes it difficult for us to be able to test and confirm if indeed they have Mpox or not.
There are some protocols that we all ought to observe to ensure that we are not contracting it. Can you walk us through them?
Yes. So, first of all, we need to heighten our hand hygiene activities. We need to make sure that we are washing our hands constantly with soap and water, the running water and soap. We could use sanitizers, but we all prefer that we wash our hands with soap and water, not that we protect ourselves, so we do not come into contact with persons who have or are showing some of these symptoms or the signs that we can see. Then also we want to also advise people, as soon as they develop some of these rashes, they themselves should also be eager to report. And in doing that, in moving from one place to the other, we advise that they cover up themselves. So put on clothing that will cover their hands, their feet, which may be showing or having these rashes, so that they do not, in the process of coming to get help or informing us, also endanger others.
Okay. I would have taken your any other comments that you would like to share. I'm here together with Sweetie Abochi as well. I don't know whether you have any
Doc, hi, Doc. I heard you talk about rashes and scabs. I don't know if you use that particular word, but just I'm curious, is there any distinct things that identifies a normal rash and scab from the Mpox, so that people can know for sure what they have, so there's no discrimination against people unnecessarily?
Sure. So I think what I would like to say is that scabs would come after the rashes are trying to heal.
Yeah.
So these are not necessarily what we want to wait for to alert health staff. It is when the rashes come, and these are swelling. I mean, I don't want to use the scientific words, but they may start as vesicles and then they become macula that is a bit enlarged. And you can see them. They're actually above the skin. These are swellings above the skin, which you can see. So we don't want to stigmatize anybody with any scar or whatever. We are not saying that scars show that somebody has Mpox. We are saying that when all these symptoms come together, all the fever, headache, body aches, especially the rash that we are mentioning, when they all come together and have these symptoms, then even that you are not to be stigmatized.
Right.
You are to be supported to get help.
Dr. Caroline Reindorf Amisa, thank you so much for joining us. That's Deputy Director General, Ghana Health Service, bringing us some details on the latest update of the Mpox virus here in Ghana. But let's talk about mental health, because it's Purple Month. It's a month set aside by the Ghana Mental Health Authority to enhance public awareness and promote mental well-being. This morning, we discuss what people can do for themselves to ensure mental health at workplaces. Joining us in studio this morning is Dr. Robert Esia. He's a psychiatrist at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Doc, good morning and welcome to the studio.
Good morning. Thank you.
I was expecting you in purple, being it's Purple Month and all.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I've been wearing it too. This morning, I decided to change.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mental health. First of all, why is it important that we continue these discussions throughout the month of May?
Yeah, I think it's very important because nobody can live in this world without good mental health. So and then we need to create awareness, because sometimes what happens is that people are not aware of certain things. At a workplace, you are not aware. Sometimes people put up certain behavior. Maybe you just ignore. Once you are not aware of the common symptoms that the person may be presenting, by the time you are aware, you don't pick the early symptoms, and then it gets worse before maybe the person reports to hospital. So I think that during this Purple Month, we need to create more awareness so people become aware.
Right.
Then as workplace, being a manager, being the HR, you are aware of certain common mental symptoms. People at the workplace, and even the workplace itself can also become so toxic that people, the workers there can also suffer from certain mental illness.
So let's start there. What are some of the things to look out for, or when it's happening to you, you know that you should seek some sort of help because your mental health may just be speaking to you that you need to take some caution?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. I think, first of all, you need to assess yourself to see, oh, I came to this work. Sometimes you get to know, or maybe your boss will get to know that your production or your productivity has gone down. And then you see that the things that really maybe initially were very interesting, you are no longer interested.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have depressed moods, or you are being overwhelmed. You are really distressed, or you are stressed up at the work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the high workload, so therefore you are really overwhelmed, and then you are emotionally drained, or you are burning out. So some of these things, when you feel them, you don't need maybe to wait. You need to really, maybe you talk to your HR or talk to your manager that these are these things that are happening to me. You need to see professional help and see what can be done so that it is managed early than it gets worse before maybe you come to the hospital.
A word you use, burnout, and often I hear burnout, spiraling, crashing out. Exactly what do these mean so that we can understand and know what to do when it's happening to us?
Burnout is like, let me just use the simple explanation. Sometimes what happens is that you are working long hours, maybe 12-hour shifts. If it's persistent, it gets to a time that you see that you are overwhelmed or emotionally you are drained. It's like all your efforts, like your strength, you are down. Sometimes it also means that sometimes you are not being recognized even at the workplace that, oh, I'm putting in my best, but nobody seems to really recognize me. And then you feel detached from even the work that you are doing. So you feel yourself that, no, it's like the zeal, the strength, maybe my aim of coming to this workplace to do, I think I've worked enough, and it's like I'm really exhausted. Like you're almost, yeah.
I know that sometimes it's not necessarily the job causing it or your work environment. It could be something happening outside maybe your personal life that you've carried into work. So how do you identify that it is the work that's causing me these issues, stress, burnout, crashing out, all of it? How do you know that it is the workspace that is causing you that?
Yeah, thank you. So normally what you need to do, you need to set a boundary between maybe the work life and your personal life. What we call the work-life balance. Some of us, we find it difficult to really set the boundary because sometimes you even carry the work home. So you get there, you are not having time with your family, with your kids, and that kind of things. Like, let me give you a typical example, maybe a teacher at the university, he's carrying PhD work to go and mark, so he gets there, and then it's like, your kids cannot even come to you because you've gone to work maybe 8 hours, and then you come back. You are still working, and sometimes, so when it happens this way, you are not really able to know that, is it the work that is really giving me the issue? But sometimes you can point out it's the work. Maybe there's harassment, like there's bullying, like you have tight deadlines to meet, which is maybe you have high expectations to actually meet. So you look at all these things and sometimes you come with anxiety because it's like, hey, when I go and I don't meet this, even the work that you're doing, maybe you have been on contract for a long time.
Yeah.
You are not being made permanent, so you are anxious. Like, there's a sudden change in the management. When it happens that way, so the management has changed, they're going to be realignment and that kind of thing. So you don't know, maybe initially you have some niche that you have created for yourself, you're doing things, they're going to change you, they're going to transfer you. So some of these things really creates problem for the person's mental health.
I've heard you talk about work-life balance and what's crash out, burning out and all that. I'm sure we'll get to how we can stay afloat, but Ben will come in at this point.
Okay.
Doc, I'd like to start off with maybe just a brief appreciation. What is mental health?
So mental health is just a state of being where the person is able to recognize his own abilities and then is able to cope with normal stresses of life and able to work productively and then also to contribute to the community.
So if you don't have that balance, that equilibrium,
then
your mental health
then we have issues.
How do you determine that?
So normally we are looking at, we all go through stress. like we are saying that the person should be able to cope with normal sources of life.
I believe the question Ben asked you right now is, how do you know that your mental health is not well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes what happens is that, like, I'll come there. So there are stresses that we all go through, then we're able to manage. But if you see that, like, yours is really at the point that maybe you come to work, you are even afraid, you can't even do anything. Then you get to know that, no, initially when I came, it wasn't like this. So what is really happening to me? Sometimes maybe you have gone through maybe a very difficult situation at the workplace. Maybe you've spoken to in a harsh way that has really affected your self-esteem. So you know that, no, definitely this is not how. So sometimes we can even pick it from our own colleagues. Somebody who's so jovial, hardworking, very friendly, all of a sudden he's being isolated. There's change in behavior, he's a bit irritable and that kind of thing. So you get to know that, no, this is my mental health, this is not how maybe, sometimes we all know, we go through situations but we come out, but sometimes it's like, no, these things that the person is going through, this change in behavior is really out of place.
And so, of course, once you start seeing those signals, you must pay attention to that.
Yes, you have to pay attention to it.
The problem is that companies often should also be able to see this from HR to supervisors and say, but this person is not the usual, so let's get some help for the person. But like you said, just like we have toxic relationships, we also have toxic
working
workplaces. And that's an interesting picture. In terms of the boundaries, though, what kind of boundaries should we all be setting? You spoke about some people taking work home so that you've worked for 8-10 hours, you're home, your family can't even enjoy you because you're still working. What boundaries should we be setting?
So you need to set a very healthy like a work-life boundary where, let me use, sometimes it's difficult really setting the boundary, but you have to do it because like a doctor, you go home and they are still calling you about this and that and that and that. So is it the question that you are not going to pick the call? But sometimes if it's a workplace, you have to make it, maybe tell your colleagues, tell the HR, tell your supervisor or the manager that when I come to work, I try to do all that I can do. When I leave home, when I go home, it's like work should be work. And then home should be home. Or my relation with my family or my kids or whatever should be. Because if you don't do it that way, then we are always like under pressure. Sometimes you go home and then you are reading mails maybe from job. Like there's direction given to you or there's maybe you have to meet this deadline. So you even panic.
It sounds more idealistic than
real.
I feel like
it's quite difficult.
It's not our reality. We are all checking our emails at home, we're taking calls with our
sometimes if there need be. But it shouldn't be the usual that like you go home and you are so like as if you are still making as if you are still at work.
So it shouldn't be the norm.
It shouldn't be the norm. But once in a while, yes, maybe somebody want to find confirmation from you. Oh, maybe I've seen this. Can you clarify? That's okay. But if it's the norm that every day, it's like you go. I've had this issue sometimes with my wife. So you come home and see like you are still at the workplace. And sometimes you see the case, the mother of this. I remember one day I was just playing with my small boy. He told me that you do know I don't want to be a doctor because you don't come home early. And when you come, you are still on your laptop and that kind of thing. So that's why I'm saying that if possible, you try to make sure that you set a healthy boundary between the work and then the home.
I know people who, and from time to time I have to do that. When I'm on leave, I'm on leave.
Yes.
A few times you may have people.
Yeah, you have to come.
Okay, there's an emergency and you have to come and do something. Some people will not respond to emails or anything. In fact, there'll be automatic responses.
Yeah.
I am on leave, this and that and that.
I think
till the person returns. But there's the other side of it. If you look at job instability, job insecurity in our part of the world, and then the work-life imbalance, right? In some firms, and you can talk medicine, you can talk law, you can talk some categories, right?
Yes.
You must, because people aspire to becoming this or that. If you are going to make partner in a number of years, people are working how many hours? If you are the odd one out, you are not making partner. You are not getting here.
Yes.
In such settings, what do you do? So that's what you've chosen.
Yes, I think yes, you have chosen, but I think still you need to make a proper balance. Yes, I know maybe if I leave, sometimes what I always say is that if there's time for leave, some people, they even buy their leave, the company will say, we'll pay you and then stay on. But for how long are you going to do that? Yes, maybe you get the money, you stay on.
I hear they call that twasunewu.
Yes, but you end up really, you are getting exhausted all the time. So by the time you are aware, sometimes, I've seen some people that they are doing very well in the companies, but back home, you see how the family have been that kind of, yes. So you need to find a balance to know that, yes, I know, sometimes, yes, like you said, you're on leave, I'm on leave, yes, so maybe tomorrow, but once in a while, if there's a need to maybe contact or you come in, you dash in and you're out, it's better. Than it's like you're on leave or you don't go leave at all, or you're working 12 hours, you don't even take 5-minute rest. At least you walk around and then you relax more. But some people, like sometimes, we the doctors, sometimes we are fine doing that. You can go and see 12-hour shift. And then even sometimes if you are coming and the patient is angry, doctor, I've sat for a long time and then so I just tell them, please, I want to take 5 minutes walk. So I'll be in. Otherwise, you sit there whole 12 hours without even stretching your leg.
And that sedentary bit too,
yes,
very familiar.
Yes.
Can cause you a lot of
cause a lot of issues. Because when your physical health is not even well, it affects your mood and your mental health as well.
There's a quick follow-up I have for you, but I just wanted to link it. Even as we talk about work, students also work in the sense of the academic work they are doing. And there too, I know very well that in some settings, the burden is so high, especially at tertiary level and all of that. And if you're not careful, you can easily
that is also
burn
another big issue, because sometimes, you know, in Ghana now, some people are working and they are still schooling, they are doing MBA. I have some of my colleagues. Sometimes, see, they come to where they come to the class, they're already tired, they are sleeping. And then there are some of the courses, like you go to medical school. Sometimes at the point when you're in medical school, your friends seem to see you like you are anti-so, or you don't really go to social gardening, because if you see the volume of work you have to do, sometimes some people really break down. And they have to go and see maybe a psychologist, they have to go for counseling, because there's a lot of work to do. So all these things, that's why we always have to find a balance. I remember in medical school, Sundays, we make it that we have to go and play football. So we have some small teams. We've named ourselves, we have given medical terms to them, maybe like ferals, this and this, so that we'll go and play. Other than that, it's like, it's going to be book. Then you can even break down during the course of the program.
Well, I guess all work and no play has its effects. Maybe we can start talking about, sweetie, the effects of the stress, if we may.
Right before we get there, I'm hearing you talk about balance. Listen, I take mental health seriously. I have a group of young women that I'm all constantly on their neck. I've forgotten who was it that said the unexamined life is not worth living. Some people do not even know. They don't have the presence of mind or awareness to be able to check and see that what's happening to me right now is not normal. So let's talk about how those safeguards, right? The balance you're talking about, let's go deeper than that. So maybe you need to first be aware that this is how I do life. And when you start noticing some things not going in that routine well for you, then you know that you should seek help. So the question I guess I'm asking is, how do you actually know for sure that you are not well? I know how it feels to be barely battling to breathe while your work environment is maybe belittling you or stressing you. I know how that works. And that's because I pay attention to how I do life. So let's talk about that.
So, yeah, no matter what happens is that for mental health, you see, there are some minor issues that you yourself will pick. But the other ones that sometimes somebody outside or a close relative who observe you and get to know that, no, this is not you. Like, let me take a common condition like depression. Maybe you've come to work, you expect to be promoted or to be recognized, and it's like, you are not even, like, maybe you are not being valued, but you know you are putting your best. So you start having maybe low mood, which is persistent.
So the mood.
Yes, the mood has changed. Okay. The behavior has changed. And so that the person interested, maybe he's the chorister. No, like he doesn't even feel like going to church again. Like we are talking, he's losing concentration. Like he's not able to sleep well, he has sleep issues. Some of them, you see that they have poor coping mechanisms. They start using medication or drugs to cope with what the stress that they are going through. So sometimes you get to know yourself that no, this is not me.
All right.
There's
so
something
once
wrong.
Notice, what do you do?
So once you notice, I think the best place is to come to us, see a professional for discuss it. So at the workplace, you may discuss it. Sometimes when issues are, let's say, at this level, you can even discuss with somebody, a co-worker that you confine. Because sometimes if you're not careful, you go and discuss, I'm having it, the next day, it's all over the place. Sometimes, that's why I'm saying that for even the workplace, the HR and the managers need to be trained on maybe mental health awareness, so that somebody comes to tell you his or her issue. And we have what they called, there's a program that we call the Employee Assistance Program, where maybe you give people the chance to go and then discuss their issues. without it coming out.
So, before you even come to seek help with professionals, what can we do as individuals where we notice that we are not well up there?
So I always say that when you're at the workplace, sometimes you have to, there are certain particular things you can do. Maybe you have to always have a positive mindset. Like if you do something small and then you have to appreciate, just show gratitude.
Celebrate the small
wins. Yes. Yeah. Or break your task. They're giving you maybe a 1 year goal that you have to achieve. Break it down. You don't have to wait the last minute, then you come, you want to achieve, well, then break it down. Maybe this month, the first quarter, I'll be able to achieve this. It's good. So it motivates you and gives you mind stimulation, because other than that, you feel like, oh, this way, can I do it? And then the anxiety, the depression is setting in. No, this one, because and sometimes when I say you have positive mindset, you don't wait for somebody to tell you that you've done well. Oh, I have done it. This is what my boss expected me to do. I've done it. And then sometimes I always say the managers or the HR, they should also, sometimes it's not about giving the person money. Just to say, recognize the person. Reward. Maybe, oh, at the end of the month, this is the best worker. Yes, I'm small, this thing is there.
Our director says the money aspect is very necessary.
Yes, it's very necessary. So we are talking about motivation, but we have the extrinsic and the intrinsic. So whichever way, sometimes even just recognize this is maybe you have a WhatsApp page, oh, the best worker or the one who dressed nicely today is this person. It motivates the person's mood. We're talking about the person's mental health. So
what about physical exercise?
Physical exercise is very good. You have to have good sleep, and then you have to also have a balanced diet. Sometimes it's not about
diet.
Yes, that is also about that. Because you need to have a good balanced diet so that the nutrient in there can also help to boost the immune system as well as your mental health. So you don't have to just eat anything, because if whatever you eat, like whatever goes in, is whatever is going to really build the body. So if you are eating, excuse my word, junks, it's going to affect. And you are going to put on weight. You are going to have maybe diabetes, hypertension. These chronic diseases also have associated what we call mental health conditions, like depression and those things. So sometimes I remember you go to hospital, the doctor tells you that you have diabetes, and it's not well explained to you. You live there very sad. Okay. Some people, yes, maybe at the end of the day, you have chronic kidney disease. All the physical conditions have the associated mental health comorbidities. So you need to eat healthy, exercise. Not that you wait till one day maybe your FM is doing like walk and then you go. At least every day or every week you can do some short exercise 3 or 4 times a week. It's better. It keeps the body healthy, and then it also reduces stress as well.
Okay.
Speaking of which, before we get back on the road of workplace mental health, I just got a message come through. It got me smiling. This person says, he says I shouldn't mention his name, so I won't. He says, Doc, how important is regular sex to keeping good or maintaining good mental health?
I think that is also good. Well, sex is also an exercise. It's also exercise as well. And then
so this is sex exercise,
Yes. And again, let me tell you, it's like if couples, whenever there are small issues, there's a sex that settles everything. Sometimes when you have couples, like my pastor used to tell me that whenever I see that one is nagging here, they're pulling things here, the moment sex comes in, settles everything. So sometimes when the denial of that, it also affects the persons. Sometimes some people get, let's say, depressed or they get all sort of things. So I think it's also good. You are all exercising the body. It's also good as well.
I guess. Yeah. Frustration percolates and then it becomes so many issues. And people will tell you that oftentimes the least thing that should not trigger something will trigger anger. Because
you see that the least thing, like you get to maybe you have been going home even with your work and he's not worried. But this time you go and then he or she is worried because why are you bringing this and that kind of. So sometimes even maybe the child does something and it's like it's you who have done it, but you just maybe pick on the child because he can't maybe pick on you. So some of this thing when they
are you speaking from experience? But anyway, let's move on from there. Coming back to the workplace, you've spoken a bit about what the employee must do. How about the employer? What is the burden on the employer? How do they put those rail guards there to safeguard the mental health of?
Yeah, so I think, like I said earlier on, the employer is very important because sometimes some of the employees, they ignore the mental health aspect of the employees, because if the employee has a good mental health, he's able to work very well. His work satisfaction maybe rate is increased, and then the turnout is low. But in a case where the person is mentally not well, maybe he's depressed, there's absenteeism. Some women will come to work, but he doesn't really put in his or her best. So productivity is low. So what the employer can do, there's what's called the employee assistance program, where maybe you have a counselor or a professional person trained for them, each or every employee to go there and then to discuss their issues. And then again, you need to also have training like for the manager and then the HR, so that at least there's mental awareness. I always think that there should be, even when you are doing something like insurance, there should be like psychotherapy or mental awareness in the insurance, so that workers can also go and then maybe seek treatment for when they have mental issues. And again, we need to also take away stigma. Sometimes the person comes in, we have had some cases that you come to Accra Hospital or Pantan or Ankafu with a less excuse duty. The next time your employer says, go and bring medical report. Or they should write the diagnosis, which is not true. The person just came maybe to seek treatment. So the moment they see, sometimes there's stigma is still there, but we need to do away with the stigma so that everybody feel free to come. So that maybe even in the workplace, there should be maybe a month for mental health awareness. So that the workers, or you can even invite maybe mental health experts to come and give a talk, awareness, so that at least sometimes it is through this awareness that you get to know that no, this person, the way he's behaving, who needs more.
I think sometimes even through those, some people will themselves actually have mental health issues.
Yes.
My work rate has gone down, my cheerfulness has gone down, I'm seeing this impact.
Yes.
There are times where, I mean, you may be doing some work and then you get to the point where you realize that when you wake up in the morning, and you think of the fact that you have to go to this place.
Yes.
You start getting
panic attacks.
Once you get there, you know that there's a problem.
So once you get there, you know there's a problem. So I think that it's always good for the employer to really rationalize maybe mental health. Like, there shouldn't be that discrimination. Sometimes somebody comes for treatment, he's fine. He's able to work, but he comes to work, and it's become an issue. My employer says, my boss says, now I should sit in the house for some time, and it becomes like a battle between you, the psychiatrist, and maybe so you have to write letters, it's fine. And especially for private organizations, it's very difficult. But for maybe even government, still, sometimes what we need to do is that, my employer says I should leave this particular place. I think, yes, you can reassign the person, but discuss with the person that maybe, you are the production unit. You are using this. I think for now, we want to distress you, we want to reduce the stress. So we want to push you to this place, maybe temporary. Or even the workload or the number of hours the person works. You can, let's say, temporarily reduce it for the person to regain his strength and get better and come back. But sometimes it's like the person comes like looking at you, because in Ghana, see, we have this perception that once you've been to a mental health, mental health hospital, or you have been to a mental health facility, no. So no matter how well you are, there's something remaining that one day, yes, but sometimes some people will come and then it's like they're well-to-do, they're very fine. But we still have that discrimination that is going on. Now, I think that it shouldn't be the case.
I don't know how we got here, because in other jurisdictions, it's common for people to go for therapy.
Yes.
See what some would call a shrink and others. But here, once you go there, hey, you'll be tagged. You'll be
you'll be tagged. And I think that through this awareness, people are still getting to understand. Because I remember when I was in Campus, there was one general, I will not mention the name, he brought a sister there. He actually didn't believe that mental health can be managed for the person to get better and even get back to work.
Wow.
Yeah, so he brought a sister. And then the sister was saying that she's God, she has given birth to about 30 children, and all of them, their fathers are present, a whole lot of things. So I discussed with the sister. It was difficult taking medication, but eventually, taking the medication, got better, because she was a teacher, and then he stopped. For like 3 or 4 months. So eventually I had to write a letter to the headmistress, and then the district director of education that, she's fine. He got back. And the man every day wants me, so, Doc, this thing is really true. I didn't believe in your medication because I had a perception that, for mental health, when you put them on medication, they become like zombies, they can't do anything, that kind of thing. So I think through this awareness, people are getting to know that it's not always...
shocking eye.
Yes.
I have a final question for you. When we talk about work, we're not talking about the buildings. We're talking about the human beings we work with and for.
Yeah.
How do you deal with toxic work colleagues and bosses? Because that's where it starts from. The toxicity
that's where it starts from. But sometimes I always say that you have to build, let's say, positive relationship with people. There are some people too, maybe...
Can you build positive relationship with toxic people?
Sometimes you need to also avoid.
Yeah.
And I think the workplace, there should be policies in place. Like if there's bullying at the workplace or there's harassment, there should be proper policies that if maybe you are sexually harassed or maybe you are spoken in a way that you don't, like, you should be able, there are channels that you can go through. So that when it happens that way, it's like everybody is safe. Other than that, sometimes some people become like bosses that the moment the person even calls you, then you know, oh, like he or she is going to give it to me. So you go there, you are panicking. If it's something that you have done and then you explain, you can't explain. So when it happens that way, it doesn't augur well for the person's mental health, especially for like when it's a toxic place, or the person is also like sometimes it's not only the building asset, but what about low salary? Financially, the person has financial distress because it's like he's working, but the salary that he's taking home doesn't even meet anything. You go home, the child has been sacked from school, he can't pay bills and that kind of thing. So it's like we need to look at all this. If let's say you are HR manager or you are the manager of a company, how to really maybe look at all these things so that the workers also have a sound mind to work and then increase productivity and then reduce low turnout.
Okay.
On that bit about, toxic work colleagues and all of that, at least something I have learned, I don't know how true it is also that no matter how people are, you have a say in how you respond to them. And also that it depends on whether you choose to meet people in a pacific manner, handshake, or with a punch, a fist. And no matter how people meet you, it depends on how you react to them. How true is that?
Sometimes we do it, sometimes, like I always say, I don't want to base on hearsay. Sometimes you get to know they are gossiping about you and that kind of thing. Sometimes somebody comes to tell you, oh, this is what they are saying. The person might even be part of it. So there are times that you have to get to know the details of really relax, take your time. You don't really have to just get up one day and then you want to confront the person. I heard you saying this, I heard you saying that. There are times maybe somebody has said something bad about you, but how you approach it.
That's the issue.
Yes, how you approach it, solve the issue. Like you pretend as if, that some of them, me in my life, I always say that when you say something bad about me, I pretend as if I've not heard it. Okay. Actually, if you know there's something you have not done, and they are gossiping about you, you throw it away so that everybody has to take care of his or her mental health. If you have to put everything in here, then you end up one day breaking down, and then the person who was looking for you has not gotten you. Oh, we saw her, she's talking to herself, and then she's depressed and that kind of thing. So there's some of things I just tell my ears that pretend as if you didn't hear, you didn't even see this, and then let
it reminds me of what I always say, that they say what the dog will see and bark.
Yes.
The cat will see.
The cat will just
and roll its eyes and move on.
Yes, ignore. You know your mental health is very important than maybe the person, because maybe it's a targeted plan to get to maybe so that you are so stressed up and then you leave the place. But sometimes they will say, oh, upon all that we did, this person is still strong. And then I would say that every individual has a way of coping with stress.
Right.
Some break down very easily. Some are very resilient and they still cope.
Dr. Robert is here, psychiatrist at Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Thank you for helping us put in perspective how our mental health affects our productivity at work and what we can do to stay afloat. But before we go, Ghana, let's talk about water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's time to upgrade because it's not the correct tank. That's right, the tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is a champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So whether rain or shine, Syntex tank has got your back. So as you hear my voice right now, go outside and check your tank. And if it doesn't have the tortoise on it, then upgrade, because the Syntex tank family is ready to welcome you and help you enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call this number, 0244 335 168 to buy one now or find one of 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, strong, tough. When we return from the break, we'll tell you about the UPSA's national dialogue on tackling revenue leakages in Ghana. Please stay. Welcome back to the AM show, sponsored by Waylead Properties, and we provide quality housing at an affordable cost with flexible payment option. In the studio with me this morning is Professor Isaac Boydi. He's Dean, Accounting and Finance at UPSA, to discuss the national dialogue on tackling tax revenue leakages in Ghana. Prof, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Today you are here for a different reason, tackling tax revenue leakages in Ghana. And I understand that according to the Auditor General's report, Ghana loses nearly $2 billion annually in revenue leakages. And that's why this conversation you're about to have at 1 p.m. today is important. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Sidi, thank you. And good morning to your viewers as well. Today at 1 p.m., UPSA will host a national dialogue on tackling tax revenue leakages in Ghana. We've invited some stakeholders. The lord of this city, Accra, the government chair will be there. We invited the former president.
Yeah.
Other ministers, stakeholders also will be there. GRA, we have invited. Energy minister, we have invited them. The MP for the area has also been invited. The vice chancellor of the university also will be speaking. So experts will have a panel discussions on how to tackle revenue leakages and what model will fit best for our country.
It sounds like a high-level, non-partisan gathering of government, academia, and industry. At the end of the conversations that will come out, come up at 1 p.m. today, what do you hope to achieve? You are the organizing body.
Yes, we started the conversation at the faculty level a month ago. We had comments from stakeholders to scale up the conversation, to have it in a national in nature. And that is why we are inviting even the chiefs who receive the royalties, the government, the agencies. How do we stagger, or how do we, the implementation phases, how would that be? That's how we are starting the initial conversations on this. Then the next level is to have some presentations to our stakeholders. We engage our government as well. What we also will proffer today, we'll do that. And then we'll meet key stakeholders in our country, and then we'll see how we implement. But it won't end today. We'll continue. It's going to be an annual program that we're going to have.
Great.
Because we have a problem as a country when it comes to revenue. We have about 7 areas that we receive revenue from. That is taxes on income and property, taxes on domestic goods and services, taxes on imports, and then we have the non-tax revenue. And then we have the grant as well. In fact, for only the tax component, this year, we are expecting to have about 187 billion coming from taxes. And our economy is predominantly informal sector, and it tells you the difficulties. And a country will get about 13% tax to GDP. What it means is that if you have the size of the economy is about 100 million or billion, and you're able to collect 13%, it tells 100 and something billion.
It's gone to waste.
It's gone, and that's
so. Is it open to the public? Can we all just pour in there and witness this?
In fact, we are using this opportunity to invite the entire country to be at UPSA at 1 p.m. today. No invitation, you can walk in. It's about 3,000 capacity building, in terms of seats available to all. We have invited the training colleges, the future leaders, secondary school people, university, chiefs, queens, and Guta also will be represented.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And we're looking forward to it. Professor Isaac Boydi is Dean, Dean Accounting and Finance at UPSA, and they are the organizing body really for this national dialogue on tackling the tax revenue leakages in Ghana. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right. Coming up next in the trends with Jacqueline and Somayabwa right after this break.
Good Morning Ghana is your favorite Monday morning social media segment, and today I'm riding solo. I know you missed Derek, but I'm here and you know the vibes never drop. Social media over the weekend, I mean, it was chaotic, conversation and some serious moments too, from the rains that turned the roads into rivers to the immigration service stepping up their game, plus some heavy talk around Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing legal drama, and sadly, a goodbye to one of our very own high life legend, Dada KD, was also passed on. The timeline has been flooded, literally and figuratively. And I'm here to break it all down for you today. So grab your tea and your phone, maybe a towel, that's if you're still dry off the rain last night, because it's time to scroll through the feeds and let's get into it. Well, our first story for this morning, the heavy downpour. I don't know where you're watching me from right now, but my place, Taifa, last night. But before that, let me get to Sweetie first. Sweetie, where do you stay in Accra? I mean, your area. Don't give us the suburb. You know, last night, the rain started around 1 p.m. and ended at 8 p.m. in my area. And if I tell you what happened to me, so this morning, I had to get to the office around 5 a.m. because I was afraid of getting to the office. Yes, because usually when it rains here in Accra, you can't move from your house at normal time.
Jackie, I didn't have the same experience, though. You know, I was at work yesterday, and I got home around, I left here around 2:30 p.m. I went to the beach with my friends for a while. I got home around 4, and then I slept. So I woke up to see the whole house, and I thought, oh, when did it rain? I missed it. I didn't...
Oh, wait, you missed the whole...
Hey. So I had to go to social media to see that some people's homes and streets had flooded. I missed it. I was sound asleep.
Well, yeah, on social media, we saw places like Ofankor, Ashiye, Adenta, Lakeside, Kasua. A lot of key places flooded, like serious. It's not even, I don't know how to put it. I wouldn't want to use the word submerged because then that is when you can't even see anything. But most of these places, you could see their houses flooded and you could see them up to chest level. But let's take a look as to some of the videos that we saw on social media that trended.
Yes, I want to be. 2 years. Me want to say that my apartment is full. Everywhere is full. All my things are going. All my things are going. My
Well, guys, our house is flooded. Our house is flooded.
Well, that is the sad scenes in Accra, and content creator Kuji Sheldon too shared a post. And I remember this morning too, I saw him post on his social media that his whole life, it was yesterday that he had seen Shege. He never seen Shege before, but yesterday the rain showed him Shege. Because as you could see in the video, that was his area where he stayed, and every place, like, let me just get to social media and see what people are saying on it. So some of the comments we have. So Kwesi says that Metiakra ni nani. That's what he's saying. And Joe says that it's no news. Every year it happens, and yet we still build houses on top of it. We cement the house. Where do you want the water to go? Now that was my question. I was asking myself this morning that every single year we hear this, but then it's still the same story. Since 1960, every time Accra floods, but we don't get any results. We laugh over it. Sometimes it's sad. Some of the videos too is very funny. But then what are we doing about it? And Josh says that your own area too, make my hammer come clear, Gata give you. That was the first video the ladies were calling on Mahama to come and help them. And J. Cliff says that staying at Accra be sweet. You do your rooms, had them flags go carry provisions enter your room. You know, there was a video that we didn't add. There was a video of the flags carrying someone's kiosk.
Oh my
yes.
God. Provision kiosk.
Yes, so a provision kiosk. So you go to your room, sir, and then the flags will carry these provisions and enter your room.
Outside Accra, people when
Now, Basver says that it seems the whole of Accra is under the water. East Legon Hills in Poniana Teshi, where I stay. Let's move on to some other comments here. Differences said, Nanadmo, you for sure this. Nanadmo, you for sure this, or no be Twitter. Yeah, those were some of the videos that people were showing on social media. This comment says, have you tried putting the room in rice? Say it's your honey and you can't wear no, I don't know. Felix also says that, come out for communal labor, you won't go now. You say, oh, the last comment here, it's even funny. It be like every bro gets in share of this flood. It was very serious yesterday. And I mean, we sympathize with all these people who suffered this. But then NADMO put out a number there. So in case you are affected by this, then you just reach out to the number. Now, moving on to the story, it trended and on Friday still made waves over the weekend. But first of all, I don't know if you've ever been accosted by any of the beggars in Accra. If you have, Sweetie, have you?
Yes. And they're very violent now. So one of them will come and tap on the window. And if you roll up while they're there, they hold it down and like drag it down. And at some point, I'm like, are you trying to attack me? Over to you, Jackie.
Sometimes it feels like they owe you. It feels like you owe them, rather.
Yeah.
It feels like you owe them. Now, you know, someone will meet you and be like, Madame Pesca. And now they just start holding you. Sometimes to the extent that they can move with you and cross the streets. And it will be so embarrassing. Now, on Friday, the Ghana Immigration Service apprehended some of these people, more than 2,000 of them. A lot of them were children. Now, according to them, they want to curb putting some of these children under some hashes. Some of them have been working, and it's becoming serious in Accra. So social media has actually been reacting to this. Let's see what you've all been saying about this issue. Andy Terry says that my first problem, you ensure that they entered into our borders, posing a threat to our security. But 2, you've done well. Take all of them out of the streets. You can't go to their countries such as Mali, Niger, Gambia, and have this much freedom like they do here. And that has been the conversation people have been talking about, especially this very comments that Terry made. Just Jay says that them catch you, give him by pure water, they wash your mouth. Some of them too, they don't bath though. Sometimes when you get closer to them, I remember, Sweetie, I did a story last year. It was some border issue, and I had to speak to some of them. When you get closer, my God.
Lucky, they don't have homes, so where do they go and bathe? You see, that's the thing. They live on the street, so how do they bathe? Yeah. How do they properly wash and use antiperspirant and all that? I mean, sometimes it's sad and sympathize with them, but Charlie, our streets do have to be cleaned.
Yeah. And also, JSM says that this is a good call. These people are becoming too much. And I think differently says that that's a good move, Charlie. The begging be too much. If you're coming to Ghana to work, then fine, but don't come and hijack the city with begging everywhere. Like, as I said, everywhere. They are literally begging. Now, Son of the Soil also says that cleaning up the streets is important, but the focus shouldn't be just on arresting vulnerable people. What systems are in place to handle the root issues of poverty, trafficking, and poor border control? Arrest alone won't solve a deeper societal problem. Now, there was a comment that CTI missed. Someone said, I know Sammy Jemfi's issue has passed. There was a comment that I forgot to add, where someone says that these are the vulnerable people that Sammy should probably be helping. Yes.
Straight bullets.
Yeah, that's what someone said. These are the vulnerable people that Sammy should be helping. So the Son of the Soil's comment actually brought my mind to that. Onasfu says that, how did they enter Ghana? Where are they taking them to? Will they come back? Because we've seen this before. And yes, this is not the very first time. Gangster Central says that the parents deploy the kids to beg. The way these kids can stress you in, you go think their money day with you. And that was what I was saying. When they ask you for money, they are holding your clothes. Like, they are not leaving you alone until you give them money. And that's the situation in Accra. And we've seen the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak, also address this. And he's also saying that it's an effort to ensure safety in our streets and so on and so forth. So in the Facebook post, he says that the operation was to address the growing concern of organized street begging involving foreign nationals. So we are hoping that this actually yields results. I haven't checked myself. This weekend, I didn't really step out anywhere, so I haven't observed if they are still there. Also, did you see them?
No, I haven't. You know, I come here at dawn, so I'll
Yeah.
keep my eyes out and see if our streets are actually clean. And if not, of course, I'll report to you. Hajia Jakia to go.
Definitely. All right, moving away to our next controversial story. Diddy. I know if Benjamin Akopo was here, he would tell me that if Diddy was ever imprisoned in Ghana, prosecuted in Ghana, I'll be the first person. But it's not that. I've actually been interested in this case for more than a year, ever since his home was raided. And last week, the biggest trial that kept most of the international media houses on their toes, most of them were doing live streaming right in front of the courthouse and all that. But this particular bit of it, Cassie Ventura. Now, that is, if you don't know Sean Diddy Combs, can we please have footages of them on the screen? Sean Diddy and Cassie Ventura. Yes, now that is Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. They dated some time back. And now the issue that is happening is that roughly about some few months, that was last year, we saw CNN release a footage of Diddy abusing Cassie. Unfortunately, we couldn't even play that because that video is very gory for me to watch myself. Now, he's in court, and Cassie said a whole lot of gory stuff to the extent that even her husband had to leave. You know, Cassie is 9 months pregnant. She was so bold to take the stand for 4 days running, giving gory details as to how Diddy's freak-offs and other stuff happened. So people on social media were reacting to this because, you know, when it comes to Diddy's case, everybody's interested because there's not... And he keeps denying it. That's the whole point. When you go on his X page, he says he's not guilty of the sex trafficking charges, the racketeering, and a whole lot more. All the things that he's been accused of. Yes, and that's the video. That's the video of him abusing Cassie. I don't know why. He even apologized for that, but I don't know why he's still saying that he is not guilty. So Cassie actually said a whole lot of things to the extent that she said Diddy had been raping her and the freak-offs that Diddy had been having to, some of them she was forced to partake in them, and a lot more. So social media has been reacting to that. Let me get some comments from this. Kempire says that Cassie is 8 months pregnant on the stand and facing her abuser. I don't care what anyone says, that woman is brave. Yeah. Now, sweetie, I want you to actually listen. I want your take on this.
This is my take. This is my whole take. I hope that the director can see. This is my take. I'm standing with Cassie. Because what did this woman do to you? Even if the other things that we're accusing Diddy of are not, we can't actually prove whether they're true yet, I still think that video alone is enough to put him in jail for life. Because what has this woman done to you that she's on the floor and you're kicking her in the stomach, in the head? And then what is it about the baby oils? Something Cassie said while on the stand, something about you have to be glistering. Like they literally bathe you in baby oil and watch you have sex with prostitutes. I have no, you want to know what I have to say, Jackie? I have no sympathy for Diddy. Whether he did it or he didn't do it, I have no sympathy for him.
Well, that's for me. I'm just curious, so I want to know how it ends. Back to social media. Diddy, Michael says that Diddy is guilty and should serve the poor people around the world for the remaining of his life. Joe M says that the Diddy trial should be made public and televised. There's no reason on God's green earth why this should not be televised for the public to see and hear everything. Do you agree? I mean, it's a federal case, so that's the reason why it's in camera. But then social media has been reacting to this, and the case continues today. More witnesses are expected to take the stand. Cassie's own has ended. We're waiting to see which next witness will be taking the stand today. Now, moving on to other interesting stories on social media. Now, on Friday evening, we had a very sad news. That's High Life legend Dada KD unfortunately passed away on Friday at the Gbawe Hospital. Well, this morning he was in an interview on Joy Prime. His manager said that the maid came back. She stepped out, came back, and found Dada KD lying on the ground. And then they took him to the hospital to STA in the Gbawe area. But unfortunately, the doctor entered 5 to 10 minutes later. The doctor came out to say that unfortunately he couldn't make it. So social media reacting to this song. But then, Sisi, what's one favorite song of yours from Dada KD?
No, I'm sorry. None comes to mind right now.
But then there's a song we want to play for our audience just to jog our memory a little bit on who Dada KD is.
I
Yes, that's a Tumu Enije by Dada Kid. He has a lot of popular songs, Sumuje, Fatia, Fatankroma, and a whole lot more. And social media reacting to it. Let me just get one or two comments here. Jane Yamiche says that R.I.P. Dada, your death is pierced through my heart. God knows best. Journey home well. Sab said that true musicians are created with true spirit to heal, cleanse, save, and protect the world. Yes, and that is so. May his soul rest in peace. Now, one last video of the day is, you know, during the previous government's era, we never for once saw the policemen coming out. Now, there's a rapper, and there's a policeman actually competing with the Ghanaian musicians. I want us to take a look at this video.
Media me peba hero me pemenkani na yehwani o prisonani o se have na police for young kobio na de tamuda ne de hwe se wani ebe yampo se have there is no ninth o prisonani de bia o ti sumo hu kanenya horizontally o don sakana no amoamo te se boboli hwe kwaso no wan poli ebeleze wati na kwofo ne bi keka mu hwe na wan kabi ne ye kan ka heaven no na mun kobi I mean,
this video made my day yesterday. When I saw it, I was like, hey, that's a police officer. You know, when I saw the video first, he said, Ajay, Adia Tomeni. I think he was about to deliver something. No, he was coming to rap. Few comments before we go. I know our time is almost up. Scout says that in music career, that make his switch go do by force Kuti. And one last one here says that, check on your pops, because now we are seeing our fathers. This is a very stressed man. Now he's out there, when you're on social media, he chance upon this video, like, hey. But Susie, what do you think about this video?
Ajay, Adia Tomeni. Jackie, we have to go.
On that note, there's a wrap for the In the Trend segments with me, Jacqueline Asma Ebua. Over to you, Sweetie Abochi.
You absolutely killed it, Jackie. Thanks for bringing us what's in the trends today. And that will be us wrapping up for the AM show this morning. But of course, it's a Monday, so we are leaving you with Ghana Grows Changing Narratives, which is brought to you by MasterCard Foundation in collaboration with Springboard Roadshow Foundation. I'm Sweetie Abochi, and I did this with Benjamin Akakbo. We are back on your screens tomorrow. And